What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Next Drop Off, where all we want to do is help you go, discover, and accomplish your life goals, dreams, and ambitions for God's glory. We're on season 6 of the podcast, so if you haven't yet subscribed, I encourage you to do so now. Also hit the notification bell so you can be the first to know when a new video comes out. We've got so much content coming your way, content that's going to help you, that's going to bless you. And as I was thinking about the progression of season 6, right? Last episode was amazing. Great episode. But this is a brand new episode, fresh episode. I was like, Lord, who should I have on? Guide me, instruct me, show me, right? I was at this event a couple weeks ago, and I saw Pastor Horton. And the Spirit said, that's the one. I was like, okay, Lord. So I went up, talked to him like, Pastor Horton, we got this podcast, da-da-da-da. You know how it goes. And so listen, this episode is about to be another one of the greatest, the best episodes ever recorded on the Next Drop Off. Why? Because the Holy Spirit is here.
Yes.
Because God is here.
Yes.
So without any further ado, listen, let me introduce to some and present to others none other than Pastor Reginald Horton to the Next Drop Off.
Yes.
Pastor Reggie.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the Next Drop Off.
Thank you. Appreciate you, man.
Yes,
Thank you for having
indeed.
me. Yeah.
Man, this season.
So everything you said was true.
Oh, absolutely.
You did come across me at that event.
Right. I was praying, thinking God, who do I get on? Because I want to be careful stewarding this ministry.
Yeah.
It's not mine. It's God's.
Yeah, it is.
Right.
Yeah.
And in the podcasting space, on the media waves, there's a lot of nonsense going out there.
Right.
Under the guise of Christianity.
Oh, by far.
You know, and I just don't want to be one of them clowns.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
And so thinking about this season 6, we're talking about divine direction.
Okay.
And we're focusing on the 4 major decisions of life, like the biggest decisions of one's life.
Right.
Number 1, which God are you going to serve?
Right.
Number 2, how are you going to serve him? What's your gift, your calling, right? Number 3, who are you going to serve him with?
Right.
Who are you going to marry?
Right.
And then number 4, that last biggest decision is, are you going to bring kids in the world? How are you going to raise them?
Oh, yeah, good one. Yeah.
You know, because that's the next generation right there.
Yeah.
So in light of that, I'm bringing on guests who have, I don't want to use the word mastered, but who have exemplified, modeled what it means to accept God as Lord and Savior.
Right.
What it means to live in your calling.
Right.
What it means to walk out marriage.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And then, of course, children and so on.
Right.
Where I'm at, like the podcast has kind of been like a reflection of my journey.
Mm-hmm.
I've given my life to Christ.
Amen.
Thank God.
Amen.
I know my calling is ministry.
Yeah.
But I'm not married yet.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I don't have kids yet.
Yeah.
And so you are going to be my counselor today.
All right. Okay.
You're going to be my coach today.
I'll do my best.
You know what I mean?
I'll do my best.
And as you talk to me, you're going to be talking to young people from around the world who are somewhere along that journey. So you have been in ministry for over 30 years.
Yes, sir.
Happily.
Yes, sir.
Man, that's powerful.
Yeah.
You've been married for over 30 years.
Yes, sir.
Oh, my word.
Yeah.
More than qualified for this conversation.
Yeah.
We got a lot of questions to ask. And so let's come all the way back to the beginning.
Sure.
Where did you make your grand entrance on planet Earth?
Where? Well, I always tease people, man, when I first left home, I always tell them I'm from a little small town called Memphis, Tennessee.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And they laugh. Yeah, right. But when I was there, you didn't know the magnitude of the city. So, and plus, man, that was some years ago when I grew up in Memphis.
Right. Yeah.
And so, from Memphis, Tennessee, grew up in a single parent home. My dad was there, but I mean, he was involved, but not as involved that, maybe what we as his sons would have wanted to. But he was there, man. He was there. But my mom was it. And then she was the rock, man. She had to raise 3 knucklehead boys.
Man.
Yeah, on her own, man. And
that's a task.
And I always tease people. I say, my mama didn't play. She didn't take recess. That's an old joke, but my mama didn't play, man.
Wow.
She wouldn't take recess. So that goes to show you she had to be serious about raising her boys. So no, did a good job. Grew up there, man. Had a wonderful childhood. I didn't know we were poor.
Right.
Not poor, but po.
Po. That's another level.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like hungry and hangry.
Exactly. I didn't know the difference, and until because when I growing up, it was the same neighborhood, so everybody, and we just had fun, man. I mean, being outside, being outdoors, hanging out with your friends, going to school, walking home together, getting into all kinds of stuff, man, trouble, everything. And if my brothers were here, they would gladly tell, especially my oldest brother, he would gladly tell you what a menace I was, as well as, and I would reflect back on him and say, no, you too, man. Right. But we both were, but I was more at a different level than he was.
Oh, man.
But yeah, man. Nah, man.
Were you the youngest amongst the three?
No, actually, man, I'm the middle.
Okay.
Middle of three boys, man. So I got that sort of middle boy syndrome, middle child syndrome. Always wanting to have, so my life, my lens is a lens of fairness. So, if you do something for my oldest brother and don't do it for me, then, and that happens because, he's like 3 years older than I am. And so, there are certain things as the oldest, they get certain privileges than you would. Right. But for me, I'm like, hey, wait a minute, and so,
Like he got a car, I need a car.
Right. So it's funny you say that because received a coat, a leather coat, for Christmas. Yeah. And I didn't get one.
Oh, no.
And so, man, I didn't get one. So, so that was an issue. And so afterwards, my it wasn't until I found out later that the coat wasn't really leather. It was what we called back then pleather. It was plastic leather. Oh no! So I was getting it over a non-leather coat. But anyway, a jacket. It was a jacket actually. Yeah. But yeah, man. That was my childhood.
Gotcha.
Both of my parents are deceased, and but they were good people, man. I enjoyed my mom and my dad.
Absolutely. Now your younger brother, how much younger was he?
See, that's the difference. So, all right. So my youngest brother is 7 years younger than me, and 10 years younger than my oldest brother.
Okay.
And so that's why we all get along well, and even to this day we do.
Yeah.
But the issue was he was just too far. So my friend group too old.
Right.
Definitely my oldest brother friend group too old.
Yeah.
So we didn't really kind of spend time hanging. Plus my oldest brother left. Man, he left home when he was like 18. So at that time my youngest brother's 11. And so at that time I'm 15. So I'm hanging out with the teenage crew. I'm running the streets. No, he wasn't 11. No, man, that's 10 years. So yeah. So he was 8.
Oh,
my
wow.
bad.
Yeah.
He was 8. So I was, So yeah. And so anyway, it was just that, So, but once again, man, Lord bless, we all still cool dudes. We hang out when we get a chance and stuff.
That's good. I can relate because I also have two brothers. There's 3 of us. Mm-hmm. But you throw a sister in there, so there's 4 altogether. Right. And so my word. Growing up in Memphis, was Christianity heavily taught, or was that kind of introduced later on in your life?
Well, it was more formality. So so I grew up in a Baptist church.
Okay.
And so my mom, she didn't like the politics of church. Church worship.
Right.
But she didn't mind the like I said, Baptist. She didn't mind Sunday school.
Right.
And so she was diligent about us going to Sunday school. And there were times when we would go to Sunday school, we'd go home after, we wouldn't go to church.
Okay.
So, yeah. So she was. So true story. So my my mother's this time, she didn't want to go to church or Sunday school, but she made sure we went.
Oh wow!
And so she gave us a little Sunday school money to put in for Sunday school. So I don't know if it was me or my oldest brother because we walking. So he had the idea of using the money for something else.
Oh man!
But I don't know if it was him or me, but anyway, we agreed to the idea, and so show you how good God is. So even then, and so we wanted to go buy some ice cream,
of course,
and so use the money to buy ice cream. So the place we bought it was in like a plaza, and so it was like grocery stores and stuff like that around. And so so we get to the place, and as soon as we get in, buy the ice cream, we walk out. We notice a car, and it was the exact same car that looks just like my mother.
Oh, wow.
And it was a 1972 Ford Pinto, brown. I don't know if that's so old. They don't even make those no more. And so we come out, right? So we get out, and we look. We saw the car, and we knew then, man, we in trouble, man. So next thing we know, we jetted back to church. We didn't just go to Sunday school. We stayed for church, too.
Oh, wow.
We only supposed to be there for Sunday school. But now we choir boys now. And so, man, we go to church and come back home from church. And I'll never forget when we went, hey, Ma, came back home. We were in the kitchen. We didn't know it was her. We didn't know if for sure it was her. And we noticed that the store was called Kroger's. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so we saw the Kroger bags on the counter. So we knew it was her.
Oh, wow.
So God saved us because we would have got a beat down. Yeah, man, we got a beat down on that one. But
man. So Christianity was taught. You were brought.
It wasn't practiced.
Taught but not practiced.
Yeah,
Got you. So growing up without a heavy, Christian influence, and you added in the factor of not having a dad, because there's a lot of young men who are growing up today without fathers.
Yeah.
How did that? He was there but not heavily involved. Like, how did that affect you as a young man coming up with 3 brothers, single mom? How did you kind of navigate those times as a young man?
Well, once again, my parents, I'm teaching class called Marriage and Family, and we're talking about parenting. No, actually, this is in developed psych class I'm teaching. And we're talking about parenting, and there are different parenting styles. There's authoritarian, and there's authoritative. My dad was the authoritative, and my mom was the authoritarian, and that's why I say she didn't play.
Yeah,
it's her rules, or you're done. And so, yeah, man. So, so that's the imbalance that came into play, but I was so thankful that I was able to pick up that my dad was the affectionate one and my mom was not. She did not. I always tell people, I remember one day she called me. I got called to the principal's office, which was not unusual for me.
I hear that.
And so I never forget, she called, and it was on my birthday, actually.
Oh, no.
And she said, I love you. And I was like, okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it really threw me for a shock because she never said it. She never expressed it in any form in terms of affection.
Yeah. And
so, yeah, man, it was rough. And then when she said that, it just threw me for as we call a Kenta Covey's curve. He was a pitcher for the Pittsburgh Pirates. So anyway, when she did that, it just threw me back, man. And I found out why she was doing it, because back then, there are days where there were people who come up with these predictions when God would come.
Oh, wow.
And so she thought it was the end of the world. So she just wanted to say to me, hey, son, I love you. Because she never said it. She said, I got to get it in one time before the world ends. And so I laugh at it now, man. But yeah, man. Yeah. Then my dad was the authoritative, sort of like a little lax a little bit, but yet he still was, that kind of dude. Yeah. So, and I hung out with him. I stayed with him for maybe for like a half a year or so almost with my dad. But he was that guy. And so to answer your question, that sort of, I was thankful that I was, back to middle child. So being a middle child, especially for when there's 3 boys, you're very observant. So that's why, hey, that's not fair, Right. And so I was able to pick up on that at a young age, that my dad was this. If I wanted to be sort of coddled and things of that nature and stuff like that, or cuddle with him, that was my dad. But if I need if I need commitment and stick-to-itiveness and grit, that was my mom. So I kind of learned from them too, and kind of combined them together. So I made a point for me that growing up, that I would treat my children with both, try to bring forth that balance.
Okay, got you. Yeah.
As
you're coming up now, going through middle school, entering high school, when did the shift take place to where it's like, this this God thing is real. Like, when did Jesus become yours? Like,
Well, it actually came. Okay, all right. So now you get into the story. So here's the story how I end up becoming a Christian first, and then became Adventist second.
Yeah.
And I say that purposefully.
Absolutely.
So my I was at school, high school, 10th grade. There was this young lady. I saw her coming down the stairwell, and I'm going up or passing by, and I'm looking at her coming down, and I had a cousin of mine, and so the high school I went to, it wasn't the great school filler that fed that school.
Okay.
I came from another school, and I was supposed to go to this other school that was the filler or they
feeder.
They were in community and sort of like work together.
Yeah.
So you go elementary, junior, then high school, all in that aligned that way. I didn't do that. I went to another school that was not too far. It was kind of far. It was a lot further, but not that far.
Yeah.
And so she's coming down. So my cousin went. So he knew her from junior high school because they went to junior high school. I said, "Cuz, who is that, man?" And he was like, "Oh, he mentioned her name." And I was like, "Man, you know her?" He's like, "Yeah, man." I was like, "Man, can you like look a brother up, and stuff like that?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, man, I introduced you to her." And so he introduced me to her.
Yeah.
Didn't know at the time she was Adventist, and she was going to public school. But what happened was she was supposed to go to Pine Forge.
Okay.
And she was actually there, maybe her freshman year.
Yeah.
And then her mom came forward or whatever, so she had to come back and she was just there for that semester.
Gotcha.
And at the school, high school.
All this is in Memphis.
All this is in Memphis.
Okay.
And then she leaves and go back to Pine Forge. So that whole semester, as I'm trying to get next to her and talk to her.
Yeah.
Then yes. So we started dating, and as we dated, obviously, like I said, she went back. And so as we're dating,
yeah,
when she would come home, like breaks and stuff like that, and so we'd kick it and hang out.
Yeah.
And she was kind of weird because she was Adventist.
Right.
I'm like, "Hey, let's go to the movie Friday night," and she was like, "We can go Saturday night, but I can't go with you Friday night."
Wow.
Like, what?
Wow.
And then I was into a lot of stuff. The world was,
yeah,
like sex, alcohol, and all this other kind of stuff, music, all this other kind of stuff. And I'm like, and she didn't do none of that. Like, man, she wasn't square either.
Right.
She just didn't do all of that.
Yeah.
She was real cool. And I was like, man, what's up with this girl?
Yeah.
So I remember, this is the pivot or the spark that got everything going. It was really her lifestyle. And so that she lived, she would meet, and I'm, like, what, you don't want no burger, a hamburger or anything?
Right.
Chicken, that yard bird or anything like that? And she was like, no. And I was like, okay, well, more meat for me. For me to eat. Anyway, that's where I was. And so, yeah, man. And then when she was living that life, man, she was living that life. And I remember telling her one day, we were just hanging out. I said, I tell you what. I said, I'll go to Sunday school with you. And then she paused and she said, it's not Sunday school, it's Sabbath school. I said, well, whatever y'all call it, Sunday, Sabbath, whatever. I said, I'll go with you because once again, if you notice, I told you my story.
Right.
We were accustomed to going to Sunday school.
Right. Yeah.
So now I'm trying to transition, so now I'm willing to go, but we're gonna go to Sabbath school. And I said, I'll go with you to the church and it was really more of a curiosity. I'm trying to figure her out, like what is wrong with her? Because everything I'm pulling, I'm trying.
Right.
She ain't breaking.
It's just so different.
Yeah, she's not breaking. And so, anyway, we go to she take me to the Sabbath school class, and this class it was the beginners believers class.
Oh wow!
So it was on Sabbath morning, and it was I didn't know that, but it was like 7 of us in there.
Yeah,
yeah, and it was the pastor who was leading out in it.
Yeah,
and so I sat there with him, blah blah blah, and then when we finished, we went to church, and then I'm starting to notice some really strange stuff in the Adventist faith, and I'm going, this is weird.
Yeah.
Nobody's crazy shouting. Nobody throwing babies up in the air. This is Baptist church worship. Wow. Literally, for you viewers think that didn't happen. That literally happened. in the worship service. People running around pews and all this other kind of stuff. And I'm like, they were so peaceful and it wasn't chaotic.
Yeah.
And so that was the seller. You just make me think about it because my house was chaotic when my mom and dad were together. So my awareness of chaos shoots through the roof when I'm involved in it. I can function in it well, but I can identify it real quick.
100%.
And I was like, man, this is peaceful. They had a worship service. I was like, oh, okay, this is nice. And so each Sabbath, because I was working on weekends. So if I had a weekend off or didn't, I would go with it. Yeah. Until finally the class came to an end. And at the end of the class was a Bible study. And so, at the end of the class, it was a baptism.
Okay, gotcha.
And so he proposed to all of us, and everybody agreed that we wanted to be baptized. And so it was then that I became baptized into the Adventist faith.
Gotcha.
I think I was around 19, somewhere along in there.
Like you were 19 years old?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So you were already going to college then?
Well, I ended up going to DeVry for a minute, and I didn't pan out well because I was heart struck by her and didn't want to be away from her, so I came back home after I only did one semester.
Okay.
And then after that, that's when I started hanging out with her more, and so that's when I got into the church.
Now, what did her parents have to say? Because she's Adventist. Adventists are a little more strict, right? Yeah. Did they counsel her who's this young man coming over all the time? Gone? Is he Adventist? And she's like, how did that work? Did she not say anything? Or
nah,
what?
Man. Nah, dude. Her parents, her dad, her and her mom. She come from a single home as well, and so single parent home. And so her mom was real sweet. To this day, if I hang around, go home, I go and see her or talk to her. Yeah. I'm trying my best not to say her name, but yes. But anyway, I don't know who all watches. But anyway, so yeah, man. So she, her mom, her dad. Even though I met her, I didn't hang out with her dad that much because once again, she's a single parent.
Yeah.
Her mom was raising the kids, and so yeah. So her mom was very, very, very okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, I put it this way. She never expressed that, the girl who I was dating, and I never felt that when I was around them. They always received me and accepted me. Because again, man, I wasn't, by that time, man, I wasn't a knucklehead. So I kind of switched the lifestyle. And I'm kind of curious now about when I came back home. But at first, when we first started, that's where the curiosity began. Yeah, man. Yeah, joined the church and got baptized and joined the church. Yeah.
So your wife was the main factor.
Nah, see, that's everybody thinks it. I'm glad you said that.
Right.
Because it wasn't her.
Huh?
It was not her.
Okay. Write that down.
Yeah. So, all right. So, when I left Memphis and moved to Atlanta for work.
Yeah.
And so by that time we were kind of fragile. We weren't really.
Yeah.
The girl the one who brought me to church. We weren't really kind of. We was in that. We weren't really, together like we were at one point. So you can kind of tell we kind of teetering off, and so it ended up we broke up. So so once we broke up, she went on her life, I went on with mine.
Yeah.
So and that's after I moved back to Atlanta because that's where DeVry was.
Yes.
I went to DeVry, and so I went back to Atlanta because I knew the area. I knew jobs were there where in Memphis there weren't many jobs or whatever I could work.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what happened. So no, it was not. Whenever I tell this story, everybody said, "No, it was not my wife."
Yeah,
I wished it had been her.
Yeah.
But my current wife. I don't want anybody to think anything else.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
I didn't want to think. I wish she was my wife. No. I'm glad that I have the wife that I have.
Yeah.
Thankful for it. Happy for the fact that just glad that I have the wife that I have now because she really, really, really. We're gonna talk about it.
Yeah.
Sort of compliment ministry as well. Anyway, so yeah, man. So that's what happened.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So now you're in Christ.
Yeah.
Your world has changed.
Yeah.
when you are now living out your faith, did your brothers have questions? Did your mom have questions?
Good one.
Yeah.
Man, you're good. You're doing real well. You allow me to tell the journey, to chronicle the story. So when I joined the church, I had been in maybe a week in the faith.
Yeah.
She was going to Oakwood.
Okay.
So we were still dating now.
Right.
And so she went to Oakwood. So I had transportation. She didn't. So she needed a ride to Huntsville.
Yeah.
And so she asked me, I was going to give her a ride.
Yeah.
At this time, it was hard to find work in Memphis. I mean hard. My mom was barely making ends meet. I was working at a retail store, and I was probably making $50 a week maybe, or every 2 weeks, something like that. Because it wasn't that, it was just more so that they didn't have enough availability for me to work.
Right.
So when she asked me to take her, I was like, cool, no problem. I mean, that's my girlfriend. And she said she paid for gas and all that kind of stuff. I said, cool. So I told my mom, I said, Mom, I'm going to take, what's the name, down to Huntsville. And so when she heard, she got whiffed of that. She was like, what? She's like, you going to spend money, go down there, da-da-da-da-da-da. And I need help here, and you're not helping me. You going down there with this little girl, and da-da-da-da-da-da. I was like, well, I don't have any money. So anyway, right before I left, she came to me that morning. She said, when you leave, I want you to leave your key on the dresser. Yeah. She said, I want you to leave your key on the dresser. That's code, ladies and gentlemen, for get out of my house.
No way.
Yeah, that's what she was kicking me out.
What?
Yeah. So
oh no.
Yeah, so she kicked me out, and then I still drove my girlfriend to Huntsville.
Yeah.
Dropped her off. I came back, gathered up all my belongings, and said, all right, I'll holler at you. So people don't know this.
Yeah.
Right before, the devil doesn't like the fact that you make that decision. So he's going to create all types of ways and
absolutely,
sort of like challenges before you so that you can give up and turn back. And I was like, nah, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And I knew I got, once again, my mother, once you decide to do something, she never quits. So I wasn't quitting. I knew that.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I said, so I'm going to stick it out. So for people don't know this, for about 3 or 4 months, I lived out of my car.
No
so that's
way.
code for, once again, I'm homeless.
What?
Yeah. So I lived out of my car for like 3 months, sleep in it. I would go with my grandmother's, who was just so sweet.
Yeah.
She would let me clean up and all that kind of stuff. But for the most part, that's what I did, man. For about 3 or 4 months.
And what did your brothers have to say? I mean,
well, my oldest brother, he was in the military, so he's gone.
Okay, he's gone.
Yeah, he's gone.
Wow.
My youngest brother,
he's
too young, so he
and you don't want to let him know because your older brother.
Yeah.
Oh man, 100.
But yeah, and so that's, once again, that was that sort of age disparity,
right,
between the two of us, and so yeah, man. So it was rough, man, and so.
And you're like 19, 20.
Yeah, young adult.
Yeah. So like, how did God get you through this? 3 or 4 months, homeless. What was like the change that took place?
So when she made the decision, I had no place to go. One of my aunts, bless her heart, she said, baby, I don't like how things going for you, right? Come on over and stay at my house, baby. I said, yes, auntie.
Yeah.
So I know you living outside. Why didn't you tell somebody? So I said, yes, auntie. So I came over and stayed with her.
Yeah.
And this goes to show you how good God is.
Yeah.
Because even she turned. And she said, and when she told me to come, she said, you don't have to worry about paying for anything. Just come on, stay. I said, oh, shoot. Yes, ma'am. I come. And once again, job was hard. It wasn't like I didn't want to give them anything.
Right.
It was just that it was just kind of hard to have work.
Right.
And so when she said that, then finally, like a month later, she said, well, you ain't putting in, it's costing this. I'm going to have to ask you to leave.
Oh,
so bam, now I'm out again.
Oh, my word.
And then, so my other aunt, she had a both of her sons were out. So she had like one room that was available. And so I used her son and I was like brothers. So, but he's now at Yale University.
Okay.
I'm here, but still in Memphis.
Yeah.
And so, I was, my uncle was cool with it. So I would come over and sleep sometimes and then get up and leave.
Yeah.
And then finally she found out about it. She said, "You can't do that." She said, "I don't like the way your life going."
Uh-oh.
And so she said, "Nah." I couldn't sleep over there no more. So now I'm back. So on a trial basis, so to speak, I was going back and forth in sleeping in my cars. To finally, my grandmother found out about it. She said, "Boy, get in this house." And so it was it was packed too. It was my grandmother. She was taking care of my 2 cousins who were adults as well, much older than me, and then my dad. So it was like 4 of us in like a 2-bedroom house.
No way.
Yeah. So hey man, you laid where you could.
Yeah.
And took refuge where you could.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Today's video is sponsored by our very own merch. We're out here doing this thing by faith, so your support means the world to us. One of the coolest ways you can support is by getting one of these comfortable, cozy hoodies with a powerful reminder that God will provide. So just click the link in the description section below. It's going to take you to our Instagram, send us a DM, and get you a hoodie today. Now back to the show.
So after that, I left Memphis because once again couldn't find where. I went back to Atlanta.
Okay.
This is when I went back to Atlanta.
Yeah.
And when I went back to Atlanta, found work, started working, start working on my own.
Yes.
Being able to progress and get ahead and stuff like that. It wasn't like it was just a little odd jobs, but it was work. And
100%.
I was able, it was working, it was paying the bills.
Absolutely.
And then so that's where I was.
So we covered base 1.
Yeah.
You found Christ.
Yeah.
And it didn't go well.
Nah.
It wasn't roses and rainbows.
Nope.
It wasn't automatic call to ministry. It wasn't
Nope.
God's got a calling on your life.
Nope.
Come over here. We're going to
Nope.
pay
Nope.
for your tuition.
Nope.
We're going to do this. We're going to give you a car. We're going to give you a house. It didn't go like that. And a lot of people sometimes, I think about just speaking to the culture, Kanye West. He came into the faith and he was making music.
Yeah.
So to speak. And everybody was like, yeah, Kanye's a Christian.
Yeah.
And let's listen, let's support, da-da-da-da-da. And then when things didn't go his way, he was like, I don't know if I rock with Jesus anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like that happens too often.
It does. Big time.
Because we as Christians, sometimes we can give this idea that when you give your life to Christ, it's heaven on earth.
Yeah.
But that's not the case.
No.
You went through the struggle.
Oh yeah. Big
for
time.
months.
For months, yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
when did you then realize I'm more than an odd job person? God does have a calling for me, and I got to get ready for that. Like, when did that epiphany happen?
Well, it didn't happen that way.
Mhm.
It happened this way.
Mhm.
It happened. So, remember I told you I went to DeVry.
Yeah.
And I knew for some strange reason, I had the idea to go to school.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, I don't come from educators.
Mm.
I think my dad dropped out at 8th or 9th grade.
Wow. Yeah.
My mom, 11th grade. I think of one cousin
Mm-hmm.
who graduated from college.
Yeah.
And at this time, my cousin, who I grew up with, good friend of mine, we were like brothers.
Yeah.
He's at Yale, and so he's getting ready to finish up as well,
Mm.
or midway through.
Yeah.
So I only had like 2 figures maybe that kind of
I went to school.
to inspire you to want to go to school. But I knew for some strange reason that's where God wanted me to be, back in school.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but I didn't know what I wanted to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what the calling was,
Right.
but I knew if I was going to go back,
Yeah.
I had to have the calling, because if I go back again, I probably won't be right back where I was, not
Right.
finishing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so as I started praying about it, asking God, I used to do this thing called, and it's people practice this early in their faith, and that is ask God to show me a sign. And some people still do that,
Yeah.
and I'm not opposing that. I think for me, I kind of shifted from it. It's more of a post thing. You act on faith, and then you look back and go, oh, it makes sense. Or,
Right.
so that's
Yeah.
how it's been late.
Yeah.
But I'm not opposing that either. I think at times I will say, hey, God, I need to know, so show me something. And so at this time, that's where I was, I was big on it.
Yeah.
This as my way of God leading me,
Yes.
showing me signs.
100%.
So bad brother, in a good sense, bad brother, named Walter Pearson, bad preacher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know that name.
Yeah, he passed away, I think about 4 or 5 years ago. Bad brother, man, preaching wise. And so when I moved back to Atlanta, he used to be the pastor at Berean Seventh-day Adventist Church.
Gotcha.
And so I used to go there, and while I was going there, I met him. And I never, most of the time, we were little kids, don't be bothering the pastor. And so we didn't really connect with pastor. We may connect within the church community,
right.
but we never, at least for me, I never connected with the pastor.
Yeah.
Only certain people were able to do that. So that's no little kids. And so now I'm a little bit older, so I'm connecting with him, talk to him. They asked me to do something at one church event, like a prayer or something, or read a scripture or something, or doing worship service or something like that.
Yeah.
So we had to go back to the office and kind of debrief. And so while I'm down there talking, he was a cool dude. I mean, just down to earth. And then his sermons were like, they were like a whole nother level. It wasn't dogmatic. He wasn't attacking us while we were sitting and listening. It was just more narrative. He's just kind of sharing the stories, encouraging. I was like, man, this dude is good. And so, like I said, when I got a chance to meet him, I was like, man. So I'm sitting there one Sabbath. I'm looking at him. I say, man, maybe I could be a pastor. Because I always thought that pastors were these highfalutin dudes, and they were on these pedestals, and you couldn't,
the untouchables.
Yeah, exactly. And so you can connect with them. And so that's what I thought. So I like, well, that ain't me, because I'm a people dude. I love kicking it and hanging it, and Now my wife will tell you, I'm a what's the word? I'm more of a guy who will kick it, but I know how to take my time too.
Right.
It's time out. I'm out.
Exactly.
And go and be reclusive. I know how to do that well as well.
Ambivert, they call it.
Exactly. And so I was like, man, that's pretty cool. And so I began to pray. I'm going back to the sign now.
Yeah.
So I used to ride a 450 Suzuki motorcycle. It wasn't the best at the mechanically. I had to have an engine fix and stuff like that. So it wasn't riding well.
Right.
So it was very iffy.
Oh,
so
boy.
when I go to it, it may start, it may not. And so, but this day was a prayer meeting, because I would go to prayer meeting as well, because prayer meeting kind of reminded me of Sabbath school a little bit. It's like a little study and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I go, prayer meeting, 7 o'clock, walked in, got my worship on, we finished, go back downstairs to head out, because the way the Berean was set, go downstairs was the way it was built. And so to go outside. And so it's some stairwells back on the back side of it. So I go down there, because where I park. And I parked there and put the key in, turned it. Now I got to go far, because I live on the other side. So and then it's like night. So people left. I can't. Hey, can you give me a ride?
Yeah.
Can you help me? So I don't even think that many people were there. Everybody kind of left. Plus, I kind of just not joined, so I didn't really know that many people.
Right.
So anyway, what I do is I go down, start. So I said, man, this would be an opportunity. See what you want me to do, Lord. So I remember going up the stairs, and the door was still unlocked. So I was like, whew, so I can go in.
Yeah.
And I remember finding a janitor's closet, because when you go in, you make a left. There's a little hallway, and there's a closet, and it was open. And I said, well, this is the time. So I knelt down either over a sink or a mop bucket. It was something. And because that's always in the janitor's closet. I began to pray. I said, God, if you want me in ministry, if you want me to be a pastor, you need to start this bike up. That's exactly what I said.
Wow.
So you just said I've been in ministry for 30 years, so y'all know the rest of the story.
Oh, my word.
And so I went down, and on the first crank, so I know where I'm going.
Yeah. Oh, praise God. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me say, I know what I'm doing. I didn't know where I was going.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
At that time, because I didn't know. Once again, I had just joined the church. I may have been in it maybe a year and a half now, if that, definitely a year. So I didn't know the sort of different the venue or the journey you have to take in order to
Right.
become a pastor. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't have much of a mentor because, once again, I just kind of came into the church.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man. So I knew then what God called me to do.
Wow. So you were a single young man
Yep.
in the church, just trying to find your way. Walter Pearson, he's doing his thing, being like that guiding light for you.
Yeah.
You're inspired,
Yeah.
right? He's on fire. And this is why it's so important to be consistent in your walk, because you never know who's watching,
Yeah.
right? He's on fire. You get close enough to fire, something's going to happen to you,
Right.
right?
Right.
That fire is now kindled in you,
Yeah.
and you're just searching, just kind of, Lord, what's it going to be?
Yeah.
And you hear through that sign, God saying, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So now you've got this, you're encouraged.
Yeah.
But you don't know where to go.
Don't know where to go. So here's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew I need to get back back to school. Remember I said that earlier.
Yeah.
So part of that was the school journey. I don't know if they still have it as a publication,
Mm.
Insight Magazine.
Insight. It sounds familiar. Yeah.
It's back in the day. Insight Magazine was a magazine. It was a collegiate magazine,
Mm.
and so it was for young adults. And so at Berean, they had the magazine. They kind of circulated it around one
Mhm.
Sabbath. So I'm just sitting there looking at the magazine, flipping through the pages, and I'm going, "Oh, there's a school. There's a school." And at the end of it,
Mm.
they had all the listing of all the schools. And I always thought it was like a union thing. It must have been an NAD thing.
Had to have been.
Because they had everybody, all the schools.
Right.
Because it's around about that time, schools get it's like doing summer, people trying to make decisions where they want to go.
Yeah.
So I started looking through it, and I saw the various schools because they were all listed there.
Mm.
And I applied to 4 schools.
Yeah.
It was King,
Mm-hmm.
it was Andrews,
Yeah.
it was Oakwood, and Southern.
Okay.
And so when I applied to them, 3 of them got back with me and let me know that I got accepted.
Yeah.
One of the schools did not get back to me. So I kind of
Yeah.
dwindled my list down. Well, that's, I'm not going because they never said anything. I guess I didn't get accepted.
Yeah.
And then I was like, King, even though I don't consider myself as this real close, tight-knit dude with his family,
Yeah.
I still love my family. I didn't want to be too far from them.
Right.
And so
right.
just in case my mom may need me or something like that, my dad may need me or something
Yeah.
like that. So I said, King's out. It's too far. Andrews, once again, too far and too cold up in Michigan. And I
Yeah.
said, well, all was left is Southern. So
Yeah.
it's only like 5 or 6 hours away from Memphis.
Yeah.
So I just go on the other end of Tennessee, east, west, just go on the other end.
Yeah.
And so I decided to go to Southern.
Yeah.
They accepted me, so I went into
Man. So you come here to Southern, where we are right now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Where you're
Yeah.
pastoring right
Yeah,
now.
on that campus. Isn't that crazy?
Man,
Yeah.
that is
Full
amazing.
circle, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And I'm actually very grateful for the work that you're doing here at Southern,
Thank you.
because would you consider Southern a PWI?
Yes, by far.
Okay, all right, predominantly white
Yeah,
institute,
yeah,
right?
By far.
And
Well, I'm sorry. I hope I didn't yell too loud.
yeah,
I think it's administratively, yes. Even from a faculty perspective, yes.
yeah,
But student body, no.
very diverse.
Yeah, very diverse.
And you notice something here at some point. There's a certain worship style that you came up with in Berean.
Yeah.
It wasn't here.
Exactly.
And I know what that's like, because I grew up in that warm black church.
Yeah.
I grew up in that.
Yeah.
And I remember coming here
Yeah.
and finding out about Merge and
Yeah.
everything. I was like, man,
Yeah.
let me check Merge out, man. Let me
Yeah.
check Merge out.
Yeah.
I go to Merge, and instantly it's like, this is it.
Yeah.
This is home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was
Yeah.
so grateful that something like this existed
Yeah.
on a
Yeah.
campus like
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
because not everybody goes
No.
to Oakwood.
No.
You know what I mean? At Oakwood, it's a worship service all the time,
All the time, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But that's not the case at every Adventist. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you started up Merge here. We're gonna get to how you started up Merge.
Yeah. I will.
But
I'd love to.
you come here as a young freshman, first time at an Adventist university.
Yeah.
Is it the first time at Adventist school? Period.
Yes.
First time
like
at
I said,
Adventist
I
school.
had no clue about nothing. I didn't. And once again, I'm borderline reclusive
Yeah.
type dude. I mean, I'm cool. I don't have to kick it all the time.
Right.
Then again, there are times where I'll hang out with you, but
Yeah.
I would consider myself more of a recluse than the kind of dude who want to hang out with everybody all the time.
Is this the early 90s?
No, it was a little further back.
Okay, I didn't want to go too far, but I was
no,
playing to say.
This was somebody just corrected me. Actually corrected me yesterday, Monday.
Yeah.
This was 87, 88.
So I know the demographic was different.
A lot different.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, a lot different. Yeah.
So here you are in the late 80s at Southern.
Yeah.
You know you want to do ministry.
Yeah.
And you're getting involved.
Yeah.
What was campus life like back then at Southern?
Man, I always tell people Southern was the best lifetime. I mean, the best time of my life. I always tell people years ago, I used to tell them, if God ever asked me if there's a time and place you want to go back to in life and I could take you there, where would it be?
Yeah.
And it would have been Southern.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was so much of the community, student community.
Yeah.
I enjoyed, I was having fun.
Yeah.
Life was fun, man. I balled almost every day, all day.
Yes, sir.
Except for we balled. I always tell people we balled Sunday through Thursday. So now it's kind of hard to do that because they have so many extra other
activities
sports that they do, like futsal and a lot of stuff in the gym. But we were here, man. We could ball every day.
Wow.
Yeah, get that ball in, and so I enjoyed that. Met some cool dudes. To this day, one of us still kick it and hang to this day. His family, my family, just connected still to this day. Matter of fact, we just hung out over New Year's. So, yeah, wonderful community. And then food was good. Yeah, it was great. I learned a lot, and this is so I'm getting ready to pivot, but we're gonna come back.
Yeah.
A senator, I forget the guy's name. I'm sorry, I'm getting ready to kind of go to something. They're now taking away DEI from all the institutions and things that they. I never forget what he said. Yeah, he said DEI was one of the most stupidest things we could ever do, and I thought, man, that is probably the most egregious thing you can ever say about. That goes to show me he was a Eurocentric male senator, and he was saying that he didn't understand, and they really don't understand what they are doing. Because when you are in a group of diverse people, you learn
100%,
and that's what I learned here. I was able to learn about Eurocentric life. I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee, borderline ghetto. And so I was always around African American people. Never been around. There was only one Eurocentric family that lived in my community, and only when they would come out is because it was a grandmother. She was raising her grandson. He was a little boy, and he would break out the house because they tried to keep up with him. They couldn't keep up with him, but we'll be outside playing, and they'll ask us, "Can we catch him?" His name was Kirby. She said, "Can you catch him for me? Catch him for me, please." So we had to run down the street and grab this little boy, bring him back. She said, "Thank you so much."
Oh my word!
No problem. But that was my only recollection of being involved, except for I had a couple of Eurocentric teachers in grade school. That was it, man. But being fused in a community like Southern, where it's predominantly Eurocentric community, oh my goodness. I learned a lot. Yeah. And I think we're doing ourselves a disservice when we don't, when we remove ourselves from people who don't look like us, or don't act like us, or don't believe the way that we believe. Even in terms of that, man, I feel the same way. Yeah, man. So I'm here having the time of my life. Yeah. And Lord's blessing, met a lot of people, good people.
You're confirmed in your calling.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who get the call to ministry or get the call to anything, right? Yeah. And they don't end up in ministry. Yeah. Were there ever any moments where you were like, man, this ain't for me. I'm going to switch majors, man. You know what?
That would be a negative, big time negative.
Yeah.
Remember, I'm watching a non-quitter in my mom.
Wow.
So you couple that with grit, because once again I let's just say my grades were not up to par, even to be accepted into Southern. I was just telling someone this the other day that I didn't take the regular English was 101.
Yeah.
I took 099, so it was the beginning.
Remedial.
Remedial. Right?
Oh, wow.
So,
Yeah.
So then I took 101. They had to prep me to take the regular class.
Wow.
So yeah, so it was just sort of along those lines. And so for me, I just enjoyed the fact that I was able to do that. And so when it came to those failures, those times where it didn't look right,
yeah,
I still graduated.
Yes.
And I graduated on time. That
Yes.
was the Lord.
Yes.
I had a couple of friends who, bounced out and stuff like that. But nah, man, it was more of that grit, that grind that my mother, that she displayed in front of me. So
yeah,
I in level of commitment, my mom had a level of commitment, man. She could have easily given her kids off.
That's lacking today.
I know. She could exactly. She could have easily said, "Hey, watch to her mother."
Yeah.
She could have put us off on my grandparents, like some people have.
Right.
And even a family member of mine actually did that with my grandmother on my dad's side. But she didn't do that.
Yeah.
And she could have. And so she said, "No, I'm gonna be responsible." So that's part of it. The other part of it, I believed in the call.
Yeah,
this is what God has for me, and what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
And so I believed in it. And so a lot of times, you're right. I see a lot of students do that, being 3 or 4 majors in just 2 years, a sophomore. You switch 3 or 4 times. No, if you've been called, you've been called. And so a lot of times we don't embrace the call. We don't fully understand the call.
Yeah.
And so therefore we kind of deviate and quit. And let me try something else.
Yeah.
But nothing is. And once again,
Yeah.
I came in. I was considered OG, so I came in at 21.
Yeah.
So a lot of these cats 18, and then they have situations that I didn't have.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't go home.
Right.
Southern was my home.
Right.
That was it. I stayed year round. I didn't go home for Christmas. I did for Christmas break, but summers I stayed there the whole time. So Southern was actually my home for 4 years.
Yeah.
But it was just more so, man, God and just reminding me, no, this is where I called you, and you can see I'm still here.
Still here, man.
Doing it, man. Yeah.
Praise God.
Yeah.
Leading the next generation.
Yeah, leading the next
to a life of commitment.
A life of commitment, man.
Despite the circumstances.
Despite the circumstances.
Committed.
Yep, committed.
God called me. There's a saying, if God calls you to it, he's going to bring you through it.
Yep.
And you're a living example of that.
Exactly. And we got to be willing to go through it. So yeah, I and that was one of those moments I didn't want to give up.
Yeah.
It was one of those trying moments. I mean, the devil worked on me.
Yeah.
I was a junior at Southern. And each year they do, at the ending of our junior year, I think they do like a ceremony for us when we become seniors. Or at the beginning of our senior year. It was one, I forget how they do it.
Yeah.
It's more like a induction ceremony or something like that. So I'm in the ceremony. I look around. I'm the only brother in the room.
Oh, wow.
30 students. The only brother. Only brother.
That made it this far.
That made it this far.
Wow.
Because I came in, was another brother with me.
Yeah.
Dude, he was with me. I was the only African-American male in that building. And for some strange reason, it became overwhelming for me. I was like, man, look around. Ain't nobody in here look like me. I was like, good. Oh man.
Wow.
So about halfway through service, I was anxious. I was ready to leave. I got to go. I have to leave. So granted, it wasn't a long service. I only lasted for about an hour. Yeah. Man, as soon as they released us, I jetted back to my room, and I had my own little stereo. Yeah. The CDs. Man, I plugged in some BB and CC Whining, the Winans.
Come on.
I was like, man, I got to get back. I have to get back. And I remember that, man. It literally freaked me out. I was literally scared, man. Something wrong with it. Where am I? And I was like, wow. And then as soon as I got all of the soulness back into me, gospel soulness, my community, I was like, oh, whew, man. And once again, the brethrens, they don't understand that about that, and so that's why it's important to be diverse. Yeah. That's why I teach at Southern, because you don't see many African American.
That's a fact.
faculty members teaching. Hopefully
Yeah.
there's this one African-American student or Caribbean student go, okay, I could do this.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Yes.
Hopefully.
Man, all right, man. I'm loving the progression. The progression, the build up.
You're doing real good.
So we're at Southern junior year. We're getting serious about the calling now.
Oh, yeah.
We got about one more year before we
graduate.
Yeah. Life is lifing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Moving forward. But then there's another level.
Yeah.
There's another level.
Yeah.
When did the sweetness of life come to you? You know what I mean? As men, we kind of live sour existences until God drops that little bit of honey into our life, right? When did that happen for you? Because you got a lot of options here at Southern.
Yeah.
They used to call it, was it Southern matrimony?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I see what you're getting at.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was going to go somewhere. So actually, what happened was my freshman year, I was dating another young lady, not my wife.
Mm-hmm.
And then we broke up my sophomore year. And my wife today, she and I were always together at Southern. At least daily we would spend time. But we were friends because she knew a good friend of mine whom I met, and they lived in Atlanta together. And so I met her through him.
Yeah.
But she had her own little girl community, because once again, like you said, it wasn't that many of African American, and the reason I keep saying African American, I don't even remember that many Caribbean Americans there at this time. It's just more African Americans there, and so or even Africans. It wasn't even not like today. That's what I'm trying to say. Right. And so I don't mean to be exclusive. That's what I'm trying not to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so, so when she said, when they started hanging out, my second half of my sophomore year, her friend put the bug in the ear. What about me? What about him? Because she wasn't dating anybody. So I think she just got a relationship too as well. Yeah. And she said, "What about him? What about Reginald?" And
did they call you? What they call you?
What, name wise?
Yeah.
They call me Reggie, but I don't like people don't call me Reggie. But it's funny. Let me go back. Let me go to that. So I'm 58.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't look it.
No, I'm 58, dude. So I'm going. Thank you though. God, praise God. So I'm 58, man, and that is such a child's name to me. I was watching Michael Keaton was on a talk show, I think one of them late night talk shows, and somebody literally, I don't know why the host even asked that. He said, do people call you Mikey or anything? And he just kind of like, no, my name is Michael Keaton. And he said, Mikey is a child's name. And I resonated with that. I was like, yeah, that's so true. And even then, I think it's so unprofessional to me as well. And I'm in the profession. Yeah. We're professional. I don't get the privilege. True story. I just get here, right, to Southern. Yeah. They asked me to do an event, and they were kind of coordinating things. And I just, once again, when you get to a new area, people want to kind of test you out, give you opportunity to come speak at this place and that place. Yeah. So I was like, sure, no problem, I'll come. And so I'm talking to the guy who wants me to come. So he's asking me questions and stuff, kind of briefing me on how we're going to do it and stuff like that. In the middle of the briefing, he stopped and said, hey, do you go by? He said, do you go by? He said, what do you go by? Yeah. I said, well, my name is Reginald. So I go by Reginald. Yeah. And he said, he paused for a second over the phone, and I can hear him processing it. Yeah. Then this is his response. He said, you mean I have to all 3 syllables? That's it. I am not lying, America. This is literally what he said to me. And now this was a Eurocentric male. Yeah. And that's the kind of privilege. I'm like, please don't do that. Wow. Don't do that. If you ask me, that's my name. And then if you don't ask me, please just keep that to yourself. Wow. You mean I have to say all? Yes, you have to say all 3 syllables.
You had to say that.
Yes, that's what I told him. I said yes, all 3 syllables.
Oh my word.
Yeah, I literally had to say that. Now, if we cool and we ball, and it's a different term. You call me Horton. I'd rather for you call me Horton than call me Reggie. Yes, that's to me is anyway. I got off. That's my little soapbox. But I'm like, please, 'cause
Right.
it's such a, and then to me is that's literally not my name. Now I take responsibility because people who've been here for a while and I come back, they know that's what they used to call me, and I never said anything. But now I'm having to speak to it,
Right.
and I get it. So it's a lot of work that I have to undo now. Don't even call me Pastor Reggie. I really if you call me Pastor Horton,
Right.
or either just call me Horton.
Yeah.
That's just how I feel.
Yes.
Anyway, so we were hanging out, and we would hang out a lot. And so her friend was saying, "Hey, what about Horton?
Yeah.
What about Reggie?"
Yeah.
At that time, yeah.
At that time.
She didn't say Reginald, because that's what they call it. Anyway, and I guess she had an eye on me or something like that. Now, this is my story, and I'm sticking with it.
Right.
Now, you listen to her, she may have another story. She's not here, so I can tell mine.
That's right.
So, so she said,
What's going on, YouTube family? I hope you're enjoying today's conversation. Would you do me a favor? Let the algorithm know by hitting that like button. And while you're at it, why don't you go ahead and subscribe? We got a lot more great content coming your way. So do me that favor. Hit the like button and subscribe. All right? Appreciate it. All right, now let's get back to the show.
why don't you consider him as someone you could date? And we never looked at each other. We were real close. We love having fun. We love goofing off. We would laugh, Joan, to this day, man. That's if you take laughter out of our marriage, it's over.
Wow.
It's over.
Wow.
For her, maybe.
Yeah.
She's like, man, this dude dull. I don't want to fool with him.
Oh,
but anyway,
no.
and I'm on the other hand, middle child. I love making her laugh. It's a scene.
Yes.
So that's my sort of downfall. So I ain't gonna say downfall, but that's sort of what I inherited as being a middle child.
Yeah.
So she I don't even know how it started.
Yeah.
But I guess she started looking at me differently, and at first I didn't want to because I was kind of skeptical. Because you know what happened? Because we were like friends. I mean, we were friends. I almost I would say best friends.
Wow.
Like, man, I don't want to lose my friend, and because if it don't work out, that's typically what's gonna happen.
Yep.
And so we ended up hanging out enough, and I guess the bug got in my ear, or she put it in my ear, or somebody let me know. And I kind of acquiesced. I said, okay, cool. I'm willing to give it a try. And I thank God that I was willing to give it a try. She's awesome, man. I don't use that word that much unless I'm talking to God.
Yeah.
If God put us together, I guess I can say awesome.
Yes.
And so, but yeah, she did it. So we dated. We broke up once.
Wow.
Yeah, we broke up once.
Incredible. What'd y'all break up for at Southern?
Okay, see, that's a good one. So at this time, remember I told you I was dating a girl my freshman year.
Right.
So now she gets a job because she was a senior when she graduated. She was a senior and I was a freshman.
Okay.
So she graduates and she gets her master's, and then 2 years or a year later, she comes back. Now, I'm with my girlfriend who's now my wife.
Yeah.
So I wasn't into her, and she had already made it clear to me because she broke up with me that she didn't want to fool me anyway. So I was like, okay, cool. I was cool with it. However, I didn't go about it the right way, in the sense that I didn't respect the fact that this may make her feel uncomfortable. It may make her feel uncomfortable.
Right.
And so, but I was like cool with it. So she moved in and moving over here, and so I would help her out sometimes. Cause a little dude, so she needs, and she was by herself. She was single. Yeah. So I would help her out because we were friends. I didn't think nothing else of it, but my wife didn't think that at the time we were dating. Yeah. And so she was like, "You need to get your act together because I don't feel secure when I'm around the three of us."
Oh,
so,
no.
I'll holler at you later. So she threw up the deuces, man.
No way.
Yeah, man. She threw up the deuces.
Oh,
and
no.
She bounced on me. Yeah. She cut me loose, man.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
and this
man.
is your junior year.
Yeah.
Junior year.
Yeah, junior, yeah.
Caught in between.
We may have been dating about 3 or 4 months. Yeah. She's like, "Oh man, this ain't." I said, "All right." And so we broke up. And I just wasn't myself. Yeah, I wasn't myself.
Wow.
I was like, man, once again, go back to, this was my friend, man.
Right.
I mean, she helped Southern make it pleasant, by being here with her. And I'm like, man, I lost a friend, and I realized, man, I really liked her. liked her and loved her in the sense that we were friends.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
We started dating. We started back. She gave me a second chance.
Amen.
Yeah. So
Amen.
thank you, sweetheart, for giving me a second chance.
So when did that second chance come around? So
it was maybe, man. It was about. I think we. Oh yeah. So we didn't get back together till about 3 or 4 months later. Cause she did make me work, so I had to woo her.
Yeah.
I had to woo her back, and so I wooed her back, and so I was doing all kinds of crazy stuff, sending her flowers, writing letters, and all that kind of stuff. She's like, all right, I guess I get back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, okay, he looked like he didn't change a little bit.
Wow, man, we thank God for that.
Yeah, man.
And so when did marriage come now? Because dating, school.
Yeah.
Was it post graduation or before graduation?
No, it was. I proposed to her before I graduated because I graduated May of '91.
Okay.
And we got married in August of '91.
Okay.
Yeah. So, it was Christmas.
Yeah.
Of '91. I mean, of '90. And I proposed to her on Christmas during the Christmas break. It wasn't on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
We were traveling, and I proposed to her. I'm not gonna tell you how I did it.
Oh no!
Because she laughs at me when she said that. I thought it was cute though.
Oh,
so no,
man.
she so this is what happened. So I was like, man, maybe I'll just and back then, they went into jewelry, so we didn't wear it.
Yeah.
So it was a watch you would give,
Okay,
like a ring. And so I went to where did I go? I went to some department store.
Kmart.
No.
How's it Kmart?
No, not Kmart. It was it Sears?
Okay, so, yeah, could have been.
But they sold, it was wherever it was, they sold nice watches, expensive ones. A Seiko. I don't know if you remember.
Okay, yeah.
It was one of those.
Okay.
And so I bought it for as an engagement watch.
Yeah.
And so Evan, you gotta be practical.
Oh,
Just can't have a ring on your finger.
That's
Anyway, yeah, I know. Anyway, so it's funny how that changed not too long after we got married.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm driving home to Memphis because we're going to go meet the family. I'm going to announce and let my family know that we're engaged, and so tell my dad, my mom, and everybody. So, but I hadn't actually asked her yet.
Okay.
So we get about halfway there. I pull over, get gas, and then I guess she went inside to do something, and I'm sitting there like, I'm sorry, the car can't start. So I tried to, I went to the trunk, the hood, and opened up the hood to the engine, and I took the box out and I set it on the engine.
Oh wow!
And I said, hey, I'm sorry, can you come out and help me because I can't.
Right.
I need your hand or something like that. So she gets out of the car and she comes in and I said, somewhere around it, can you hold that? And so that's what it was about. And she opened it. And by the time she opened it, I was on my knees and I asked her, would she marry me?
Wow. At the gas station.
Yeah, at the gas station. Yeah. Sorry, it wasn't this elaborate. I didn't have no words flying. Will you marry me on the airplane?
Right.
I didn't do that. Yeah,
man.
Didn't do that. Didn't have that kind of cheese,
Right. Hey, I hear
you. I barely made it. Matter of fact, did I sell my motorcycle for that ring? No, that was the honeymoon. I barely bought that. Yeah, I had money to pay for that.
You had to ask her.
Yeah.
Before you got to.
Yeah, because I was going to announce that we were engaged. Yeah.
Man. Yeah. And 33 years later.
Yeah.
Still married.
Still married, man. I always tell people, I do we do the couples thing for couples, and I always tell them, I was at a wedding. Actually, this happened at a wedding.
Yeah.
And I'm the officiant, so I'm officiating the wedding. And I said, understand what marriage really is. And I said, I want you all to know today that I understand the importance of marriage because I am not happily married. That's what I tell everybody. And you should see the faces of the people. They go, oh, he said that. And so my wife knows because she knows where I'm going.
Right.
I said, no, because marriage is not about happiness. It's about joy. And so I'm joyfully married.
Wow. Okay.
I'm joyfully married.
man, I like that.
Because I can be sad in the marriage and happy today, but joy is consistent.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm in a season. This is where I'm gonna get a little selfish now.
Yeah, no,
You know.
go ahead.
I just started dating
Okay.
recently.
Okay.
It's funny. The last episode we did, I wasn't dating.
Okay.
The Lord opened up my eyes with the last episode.
Okay.
This episode, I am dating,
Right.
and I want to do it the right way.
Yeah.
I, growing up, I had a 2-parent home,
Okay.
but it wasn't happy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It wasn't happy.
Exactly.
So I can say I'm a product of dysfunction.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't want to repeat that.
Yeah.
I don't want to repeat that. What do I do? How do I approach the altar? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not big on the wedding because that's a day. I'm trying to get to 33 years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to get to 40, 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
How do I get there?
Mm-hmm.
Coming from dysfunction.
Mm-hmm.
Dating now, realizing I've got a treasure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to lose the treasure.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
How do I get to the altar?
Well, I mean, a lot of it you don't know until afterwards.
Hmm.
So you get there by faith,
Hmm.
and you get there by the Spirit. You know, you're not gonna have it all together and figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
It kills me when people say, especially dudes, "Well, I'm waiting to get a job. I'm waiting." Matter of fact, when I married my wife, I did not have a job.
Hmm.
When I asked her to marry,
Yeah.
I was still at Southern, so I was working. But then when I graduated, I didn't have a job in my career field,
Yeah.
as a pastor.
Hmm.
So we look for right times and right moments to
Mm-hmm.
get to the altar.
Mm.
We want to know everything and make sure that everything is in place and everything is right, and we want to have this sort of guarantee or assurance.
Right.
And at
Yes.
the end of the day, that's false.
Hmm.
You know, there aren't any guarantees. You and your spouse to be have a right to go, I'm out. That's the power of choice.
Yeah.
Now, we don't agree with it and we don't support it, but that's just how God is and how he kind of ordered it.
Yeah.
Neither do we support divorce, and neither am I sitting here supporting it as
Absolutely
well.
not. Yeah.
But to get there, it takes a lot of trust and faith in God.
Hmm.
I knew through prayer that my wife was the one. God has shown me, just like other things, once again, go back to that sign.
Mm-hmm.
And so I knew, and once again, my DNA, man, I just, and that may be a fault to my own.
Yeah.
I just don't know when to quit stuff and shut it down, and I don't do that well.
Yeah.
I'll do it. I'll fail before I shut it down.
Wow.
And growing up, in school and college, especially in grad school, I remember my boys, they'll get to the point halfway through a class, like, oh man, I'm gonna get a C and I'm out, and they'll drop it.
Oh wow.
But I'll go out, or I'm failing this class. I was like, man, I'll stick it out until I fail. But
Yeah.
that's my level of commitment. So to get there, there's gonna take a lot of knowing you, who you are and what you're about. Oftentimes, you're going to spend the rest of your life figuring yourself out with your spouse, because God is going to use her or him to show you who you really are and truly are.
I see.
And hopefully you'll be able to receive it and receive it well.
Yeah.
That comes with maturity.
Hmm.
Also, it's a struggle. It's hard to get there, or the issue of getting there.
Mm-hmm.
It has a lot to do with knowing the stories of each other.
Hmm.
I love how you said, I wish we would spend more time knowing each other.
Hmm.
Wedding is a day.
Right.
And it's very expensive.
Hmm.
And oftentimes we try to circumvent or go around the fact that you need counseling, you need therapy, you need somebody to kind of help you, because we all come from those sort of similar homes. And some level, some of us dealing with a lot of trauma from those dysfunctional homes.
Yeah.
And so now you're bringing that into the marriage, and that's rough. And so if you don't get these things exposed and you don't understand who you are first, it's going to be challenging to go 30 years or be willing. The word is, because sometimes you may not know. And I've dealt with that, We don't know who we are until we get married. And I've dealt, like I said, me personally, I didn't know. My wife, my daughter, and my wife told me one day I was passive aggressive. I didn't know that, but that's what they were saying, and they were correct.
Yeah.
But it's how you receive it once again. And so I had to receive. I had to do some self reflection.
Yeah.
Now, granted, this like 30. No, this like, man, about 29 years into marriage.
Yeah.
That they said that. So I'm having to go back, and so it's just a lot of that. And are you willing? Are you really willing to be led by God in this process? Because marriage is going to do one thing I know for sure. But are you willing? It's going to grow you.
Wow. Yeah.
And it's going to grow you for the kingdom. And if you're not willing to grow for the kingdom, then maybe marriage is not for you, and God can use something else for you to grow you to the kingdom.
Yeah.
But He will grow you, and that means we all talk about growth pains.
Right.
It's going to be very, very painful. But I rather experience the pain through this process than receive the pain when He comes a second time.
Mercy.
And leave me here.
Right.
Yeah.
No, we don't want that.
Yeah, we want that.
We don't want that. Okay. So how did you decide to now, because you could be married for 30 years and offer a lot of counsel, great advice, great guidance, but you went on to become a marriage and family therapist. That's a whole nother level. What inspired that journey? Yeah.
Well, church life. So when you're chairing a board meeting or chairing a business meeting, and you get all of these sort of crazy responses by people like, what? You know, I've had a church member call me out. I see you later. I'm like, okay, you can see me now if you want to. Excuse me, but but I knew what he was saying. I'm like, dude, man, I'm from Memphis, man. You know, hey, man, I gotta tell people, man. Paul said the old self. Sometimes the old self will come up, you know.
Oh, no. You said you can see me now if you want to.
We can see, hey, man, if you serious, we can talk now, whatever, you know. You know, I ain't gonna say what I would do, but I ain't gonna back down either. You know, I don't think that's, because once again, I'm not trying to flex or be able look, you know, I love Christ. Now, granted, you don't see him in any altercation, but you know, he stood up for stuff. I'm like, man, I'm not. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, I'm not afraid of you. So it's just that kind of stuff. I'm like, man, y'all talk to pastors like this. Y'all, you can talk to each other, your own church members like this. Talk about dysfunction. Man. And so church sometimes can be very toxic in relationship wise. And so I just tried to. I'm a why dude. Therapy is all about why you do what you do. You know? Why did you become who you became? What is that about? And so I'm trying to understand people. And seminary didn't offer that for me. You know, it was more from a historical standpoint, which is fine from a educational piece, which is fine, man. I'm cool with that. But it didn't give me those kind of people skill relatable type skills that we need in order to make it. And so and try to understand people more fully and understand them, not so much that you can respond in a adverse way toward them all the time, but also respond to them in an empathetic way. So when I go back to the story I'll tell you about dating, when I hear your story, hopefully I can understand you more and be able to empathize as a pastor for you. So I want to know, why are you acting this way? I was at a funeral, it blew my mind. At a funeral, mama passed away, and two sisters, before we even get out there, they going at it. I mean, literally going at it. I'm like, these are two churches. But your mama passed away, and y'all going at each other. But until my mom died, and I knew me and my brother, my youngest brother, we about to go at it.
Oh, no.
So I remember that. But I understood now, because that's that story. So now I'm able to relate. So I got involved in it because I was in a D-Men program at Bethel Theological Seminary up in Minnesota. And so I'm up there going to school. And we took a class called Systems Theory. And I was just floored. And I mean floored. I'm like, man, everything, it's like, and you used the word came on. The blue light special came on. Kmart used to run a blue light special for those you don't know. And so the blue light special came on in my head. Bing. I was like, oh, this is why, because systems of systems. So what happens is, when you come from your own home family system, they impact the church systems. And so you can change the whole system by doing it. And so Bowen Maury Bowen, he's the system guy. He came up with this whole theory.
Yeah.
And so what he realized was he was doing good for 6 months with a client, and while they with him, he working with him because they were like patients of his.
Yeah.
I think he was a psychiatrist, and so he said, but when he would send people home, they were 6 months later they come right back.
Right.
So he said, all the work I'm doing here is useless.
Right.
I need to be doing the work there in the home.
Yeah.
And so a lot of stuff that we experience in the church are stemming from the home. And so it made sense systemically. It made sense to me. I was like, oh, okay.
Right.
So that's what
you couldn't affect the change you wanted to from the pulpit.
No.
So you decided, let me prepare myself to enter the source of the problem.
Right. And then come to there.
Got you.
So we did it the other way around.
You're equipped now to enter the home,
Right.
to fix what's going on in the home.
Working with families in there.
So in your practice, you have like an excellent perspective on why marriage rates, number one, are dropping.
Yeah. Several.
Joy and happiness in marriage is on the decline.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why is that? Why is
that?
Well,
they're very okay. Let me go back to the numbers. So if you notice, there was a little spike right before January. Yeah, right before January. So the month of November, December, there was a spike, and the spike was in a different. People were getting married because laws will begin to change. So they need to hurry up and get married first. So you saw the spike. But to go to your question, yes, there is a decline. A lot of times it was a decline because of what happened in the 60s with the no-fault divorce. That created a huge decline because people were more able to get divorced.
It became more accessible.
No fault, right, exactly.
Right.
And so back then you had to have a legitimate reason to get divorced. And you have to prove it.
Oh,
it wasn't like you just can walk in there. I don't like my wife no more and I want a divorce. Okay. But you can't do it no more. I mean, you could do that now, but you
couldn't do that back then.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so it was rough, man. And so and then there's a uptick in a spike in cohabitating. So a lot of people are cohabitating now.
Right.
And so not a lot of people getting married. And so you see cohabitation on the increase and marriage on the decrease.
Right. How do we avoid that in the church? Let's bring it all the way home.
Come on, yeah.
We've got men who are getting older and older and older and older and not getting married. Yeah. And you got a lot of young ladies that are like, they're not going to ask the question, will you marry me? They're not going to pursue a man. How do we fix that? Let's talk to the brothers. How do you encourage a young man to be like, you need a wife.
Yeah.
You need to stop playing around.
Yeah.
Stop playing around. You know what I mean? Trying to get all the goodies.
Yeah.
And no commitment.
Well, you just said it. That's it. This generation, and when I say this generation, I'm just saying based on research. I'm not saying to downplay this generation.
Right.
I have to be careful when I say that because I want them to hear. So a lot of times the level of commitment is not there. So when you come from helicopter parenting, things of that nature, when you come from options, you don't have to, so like remember mine, I didn't have a home to go back to.
Right.
So I got to make this work.
Yeah.
So when you have so many options, you can stay at home forever. Now you don't have to commit. So a lot of our family dynamics have changed, and so that has impacted that as well. And so when you think in terms of commitment level, we want options now, and like I said, cohabitating is a prime example of not committing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You may say you are, but you're not committing fully to what God has called you to be and do. But for those who may not, who want to, do their thing and just hang out and continue to go, it's just, I have found for me, and I can only speak for me, that my marriage is a blessing from God. And so when we reframe and look at marriage differently,
right,
and not some some way the world looks at it,
Yeah.
or way media or these podcasts and all these other places that place them on.
Mm-hmm.
It is then that when you can reframe that, chances are you probably see marriage differently. You know, for young African American males, there are more options for them, whereas for African American females, there isn't many options for them.
Yeah.
And so once again, a lot of it has a lot to do with the incline or the incline of sorry about that.
Yeah.
Of the increase of sorry about that.
No, it's all right. It's all right. People want to talk to
Yeah.
Pastor Horton.
Well, actually, that was my son. So.
Oh, boy.
But yeah, man. So it's there's so many components and variables that come to play. But if I had to pinpoint on one, it would be their inability, like you said, to commit. We don't want to. Society doesn't require us to commit anymore. We have so many options now. Right. You know. So my wife was sharing me about nursing now. You know. Nurses don't want to get hired, don't want to be hired full time no more. Everybody want to do PRN. I'm good because they don't want to commit on that, you know, full time level.
Yeah,
you got to get up at least 3 times a week to come. But now I want options. I want to go on work on Tuesday and be off for the rest of the week. And yeah, man. So that's the society we live in.
I don't know how to do this, but I'm gonna ask it anyway.
Yeah.
How do we then help? Because we talk to the brothers, right?
Yeah.
We got to level up our commitment.
Yeah.
We got to be able to say, "Hey, Lord, help me to choose," because there's no slim pickings, right?
Yeah. I don't know.
There's plenty of options.
Yeah.
We've got to choose one and be committed. All right,
Yeah.
we got that with the fear of the Lord.
Yeah.
How do we help the young ladies now choose a young man? Because there aren't as many. Perhaps is it right to say there aren't as many options, and we don't want them to get desperate and then go out and say, "Well, if the Adventist men aren't coming after me, then I'm gonna go look for a Babylonian prince." You know, let me.
I love it.
Let me go outside the flock.
Yeah, I always well, okay. I'm glad you said that, and I love you tagged or you brought in Adventists. Now I'm getting ready to pivot, and we may differ in theology. You know, I always tell people, you know, I'm committed to my Adventist faith, but I'm not going to hell for my Adventist faith.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that means if they want to do what they want to do, and as an organization, that's between them and God. And so, but when you think in terms of for females and their level of having the opportunities that are there before them, and I love what you said. For me, the question would be, are you selecting a Adventist or are you selecting a Christian?
Wow.
See, when Paul talks about unequally yoked, Adventist wasn't even there.
Right.
As a matter of fact, you either was with God or you weren't. That was basically it. So that's out of context when we say that, right? If we're going to say that you have to be. Now, do you have more challenges than others who are Adventists? Yes, you would. How to raise your kids, things of that nature. But yet, at the end of the day, is this guy a child of God? And so you should be looking for men who love the Lord. And I'll tell you, the world is telling us that is not an attraction. I'm sitting here telling you it is.
Wow.
Women want that spiritual dude. That's who they looking for. And I didn't know that until afterwards. I'm dealing with my adult children, and I'm watching how both of them were attracted to Christian individuals who love the Lord.
Yeah.
And so to me, if where you are with loving the Lord, with a guy that loves the Lord, and you yourself love the Lord, that should be your prime. Now you gonna say, man, that's gonna be kind of hard. Well, that's not. You really talk about slim picking. But I'm a believer of God, and I believe that wherever we are, God can supply, and He will supply.
Amen.
And so, so that's just faith. And so, as young women, they're gonna have to walk by faith. And let God be the one to lead and guide and direct. Now, a lot of times it may not be the ideal for you. I like how he's Babylonian prince.
Right.
It may not be that.
Right.
You know, he may be a humble old man with bad work clothing. You know, not good clothing. Don't wear the ladies are the greatest.
Right.
But he's just a great dude. So that means sometimes we're gonna have to not settle. That's
right.
different.
Yeah.
But sometimes we're gonna have to reframe and look at things differently.
Absolutely.
And look at the individual differently.
I would agree. I would agree. So there's work to be done on both ends.
Oh, by far.
Women have got to see past what their physical eyes see, and by the grace of God, be able to see who is he.
Yeah.
Really, who is he really?
Yeah.
And can I yoke myself with that?
Yeah. And it's great because for me, man, you know, to hear you say that, yes, it's right. You gotta look from that perspective. A lot of times women, I ain't gonna say women, but a lot of times when we dating, we have this sort of idea of who we want and what we want to look for. Right. I love how the Bible speaks about how God looks on the heart of man, not the outward appearance.
100%.
I just told my class, was this week? Yeah, I just told my class this week on Monday or Tuesday yesterday. I said, hey guys, I said, he may be smoking hot, and she may be fire hot,
right?
Smoking, whatever. That's what I told her. And I said, but I'm letting you know now. If you plan to be in the game for 30-some years, I'm letting you know now. That hotness is going to get warm.
Oh, wow.
I'm talking about looks.
Right.
It's going to get warm.
And then get cold at some point.
Maybe even get cold. Hey, it may even get freezing. We may go to frozen. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
Yeah.
Not frozen.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I'm telling you, man.
But that's reality.
That's reality.
Right.
So your best bet is to look at character and quality of the guy or the girl.
Yeah.
Because don't say, once again, you know, we're looking for that fine honey, you know.
Right.
And oftentimes, man, sometimes, man, they anyway. And you're looking for that bad dude, you know.
Right.
But at the end of the day, he may not be for you. He may not be the right guy for you.
Man.
Yeah.
As I'm thinking about it, marriage is important, right?
Oh, big time.
I think a large part of my audience isn't quite there yet. Like, I'm just, just getting into a relationship, right? Yeah. And I think good marriages come from good dating. In other words, if you want to be married well, you got to date well.
I get you. Yeah, I feel you.
And so I don't want to focus so much on the marriage right now. Right now, I want to come back to dating.
Yeah.
I want to come back to dating.
Yeah.
What would you advise young men and women? Let's start with what not to do as we're navigating the space. Because there's so much noise in this space. Yeah. There's so much noise. Yeah. You know, God gave us 10 commandments.
Yeah.
Clear boundaries.
Yeah.
You stay within these boundaries, you're going to be all right.
Yeah.
You step out of these boundaries, I'm not responsible for the pain you experience on the other side of stealing, adultery, lying, worshiping other guys. I'm not responsible for the pain outside of that. But if you stay within these boundaries, didn't God say your peace will be like a river?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I feel like there's got to be that same principle in dating, right? So could you help frame some boundaries? Because today, it's like free reign. Yeah. It's like doing, live and let live.
Yeah. One of the most overstepped boundary or boundaries that exist in dating is sex. And the world has changed its perception of it. You know, if a girl, and it has changed now, if a girl having sex with a dude, she was considered, I don't know if I can use that word, but a lady of the night. But she wasn't the lady of the night. I'm trying to use, but I don't know.
No, you could tell it like it is.
Well, it's in the Bible. She was a whore. She was considered a whore.
Oh, no.
And so, right, that's what I'm saying. That's
305. That's what they call them today.
Oh, 305. Okay, yeah, she's 305. Yeah. I don't know what time that is. I don't know if that means time or place or address. I don't know. But 305, I'm going to say it because you told me to say it. So I can use the appropriate term for current day and time.
She's for the streets.
Yeah, for the street. Okay,
for the street.
So anyway, she so that's what they're doing. So she'd be it'd be frowned upon.
Right.
But now it's, oh, girl, I got to get mine too.
Mm.
You know, you telling the other girls, girl, you ain't on him. You know, stuff like that, man. And, you know, and so, and once again, I know, ladies, you're gonna say, well, it should be the same as dude. I agree, it should be, and he's just as well as 305 as you are. And no, seriously, it goes both ways. But the reality is that we believe that it's okay now, and you don't understand especially the amount of people you may sleep with, and the damage, the emotional damage that comes with that. And I'll tell you, I was there. I was in that 305 community, out there running the streets, you know, trying to hit and bang everything I can. You know, matter of fact, that's the girl I was dating. I was telling you about it. She wasn't down like that, and that's what made me so. So to me, it just, you know, I always tell young ladies, you know, I used to say this when I was at Southern because the Theo major, they let us do worship vespers. So I said, girls, if you keep him on, you keep him long. You pull him down, he'll stop coming around. Wow. I used to tell them all the time, and that still is binding today. Yes. You wonder why you can't keep him. That's why. And guess what? If that's all he wants, you don't need him anyway. You don't fool with him. You know, I told my daughters that if that's all, this dude was hounding her, and me and my son, he kept asking her about her sex life, and we like, what? Why he keep asking you that? And we kept telling her, I said, don't fool with that dude. He's just trying to get with you. Wow. And yeah, man. And so I think that boundary has been very much overstepped. And so we've overstepped that boundary, and because we don't believe in it. And I'm telling you, and then they say, well, I gotta know what's she like in the bed. I don't know, what is she like in the bed? And I'm like, it's gonna take a while to know that. Wow. I'm just gonna be honest
telling the truth.
Yeah, just tell the truth. It's gonna be a while to figure that out, because that's not how sex is. And then a lot of times it's based on performance. So we're looking at sex from a performance standard. You know, you know, I gotta get off on her or whatever have you, that kind of stuff. Or man, I ain't been laid in a while, a girl may say, and it's just, to me, man, it's not of God. It's not good for you psychologically. Yeah. And it's been I never forget. Never forget. Yeah. Never forget. A student pulled me over to the side one time, and we were talking, and she said, "Can I come to your office?" Yeah. At the time, I think I was Professor Horton at the time for her. And I said, "Yeah, come on over." I said, "We'll meet." And she just came to my office, just bawled. She bawled. I mean, bawled. Oh my! She hadn't told me her story yet, but she started bawling. And I said, "Okay." And then she started talking. Yeah. And she said, all I was to him was a body count. Wow. He didn't care nothing about me. All he wanted to do is just sex me. Wow. Yeah. And I'm finding, too, it's so lax boundary setting in terms of sex. Yeah. Wow. I'm finding, too, that young women are turning dudes out. That's how lax it has gotten. Girls are turning dudes. I'm the same conversation with a girl I'm having with dudes. I wasn't into that until she started dating her. Wow. Now he's messed up in the head. So am I that old school purity type dude? No, because I'm gonna tell you, sex is good. Right. I ain't gonna lie and tell you it isn't. Right. But I'm gonna tell you the truth is, psychologically, it messes with you. And we don't see that part. We just at the physical piece of it.
Man, I think this is good, Pastor Horton. I think this is good. Yeah. And the reason why is because we've got to take into account who we're seeking counsel from. Yeah. Who's in our ear, right? Yeah. The reason why I'm talking to you, you've been successful.
Yeah. By the grace of God.
By the grace of God. You've been married for 30 plus years. You've been in ministry for 30 plus years. You know what I mean? You've walked this out. You're miles ahead. Yeah. So where I'm at, you can look back and say, Sam, watch out for that right there. Yeah. Sam, when you turn this corner, watch out for that right there. Sam, right? Yeah. But in today's society, we're listening to people who haven't figured it out. No. And it's like what Jesus said, the blind are leading the blind, and we both are falling into the ditch. And I think that is the problem with today. Yeah. You got blind people leading blind people. Yeah. And what I'm hearing from you, let me know if I'm hearing this right. Listen up. Premarital sex will disorient you.
Oh, big time.
It will fill your life with unnecessary trauma.
Yeah.
Because there's traumas that young people have experienced that they didn't ask for.
But here's the catch to it.
Yeah.
The extra trauma that they experience there is fueled by another trauma, a traumatic event.
Yeah.
Didn't feel accepted. So in order for me to feel accepted, I gotta have sex with dudes. So that trauma, boom.
Wow.
Or same way with a dude with a girl.
Yeah.
Man, I've been having sex with this girl and she messed me up. So I'm gonna go have sex, just bang every girl I can think of.
Wow.
Yeah, man. It's almost a cycle. It goes on this sort of wheel, sort of.
And it doesn't lead to where we want to go.
Oh no, you aimless. You running aimless. And in a way that it just doesn't work for you, man.
So to a young man, let's come back to the young man.
Young man.
Because I feel like as men, we ought to be the leaders of society.
Yeah.
We ought to be the pace setters.
Yep.
Right? So could you speak a word to the young man who's not really convinced? He's like, I hear you, but I don't know if I can wait till marriage. I don't feel like waiting until marriage. What can a young man aspire to by abstaining and being that role model and waiting till marriage? I'm trying to see if I can ask it the right way, because as leaders, if we don't do the right thing, then we're just leading those who come behind us into the ditch.
Yeah.
And our community is suffering.
Yeah.
Trauma.
Yeah.
Single family homes.
Yeah.
Right? A lack of resources.
Yeah.
Because I understand that marriage also increases your chances of financial success.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It does.
But when we
Are you on benefits? You saying benefits or no?
all around.
Okay.
All around. And all of this premarital sex decreases our chances for a successful marriage.
Yeah. I would start with why, once again. Why is having sex with someone so important to you?
Yeah.
Why is that so important to you? And if you can answer that in a healthy biblical way, then it's hard for me to convince you of that. But if you can sit and go, well, it makes me feel apart or belong. Okay, cool. If that's the case, then there are other ways you can feel that way.
Right.
You don't have to use that. Yeah, it's a lot healthier and safer ways you can do that. And so oftentimes we don't see the other side of different ways of how it can contribute to us. That's what I'm trying to say. So to me, I want to know why. Why is it so important to you? Why you gotta have sex with girls? Girls, why you gotta be willing to go to have sex with him?
Right.
And if you find out why, and if it's so deeply rooted into maybe as we talk about traumas or something like that, then what we need to do now is let's seek help.
Right.
Let's talk with a counselor, a therapist, or somebody.
Yeah, that's good.
Or and I'm gonna go to a pastor, but I'm talking about a well-skilled pastor.
Right.
Actually, someone who has both pastoral and clinical.
100%.
Yes, that's what I would do, because they can kind of help you along the way. And I don't want to be that one to kind of tell you to do it this way, because the Bible says so.
Yeah.
No, I want to show you through the Bible,
right,
the complications that it creates for you, and then as the Bible says, come let us reason together. So let us reason. So here it is. And then you make your decision.
Right.
I'm not here and I love that you said, how can we help? All I can do is share the information.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, you got to come to that conclusion on your own.
Big time.
Because it's up to you and what you want to do. You know, I just had a great deal of respect for women.
Yeah.
You know, especially my wife.
That's big. Say that again. Hold on. I think you just unlocked the whole vein of truth.
Yeah.
What was that one little piece?
I have respect for women.
Wow.
And that comes from who? My mom. My mom, you know,
Man,
she made sure I respect women. I don't see women as this place I can get off on. You know, or something I bang or something like that. Yes. I don't see women like that.
Man, I think that's a golden nugget right there.
Yeah, it is. My mom, and so if you find yourself seeing women like that, then you may want to reconsider how you see women. You know, they're not, and you know, understand that, and that goes to pornography.
Yes.
So and that's another heightened level of what we're doing, and so we're involved, and engaged in. So therefore, we it's okay because
Right.
because of pornography that we watch and see, and it also degrades women. And so I just just have a higher standard. My wife would tell you to this day, that I can think of, I've never disrespected her.
Wow.
I have a great deal of respect for her.
That's big.
Yeah.
Young men listening, let's start there.
Yeah, man.
I feel like if we could get a grip on respecting women, that's going to change how we engage
exactly.
with women.
Right.
This idea of respecting women, even on the screen, virtually.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
By me not engaging this pornography, I'm standing
Thanks.
on my principles, my values of just respecting women.
Yeah.
And when I kill that desire, only by the grace of God, right, to watch pornography, right, now I can respect women in real life.
Yeah.
And by respecting women in real life, I'm going to choose the right woman to marry.
Yeah.
And I'm going to not only marry the right one, but be a man of my house.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's going to lead to healthy kids.
Yeah.
And then that's an upward cycle.
Yeah.
Right now we're on a downward cycle. And I think what's fueling that is the disrespect of women. That's a great principle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I respect my daughter. I hope that she's in a relationship, and I hope that she demands that from him as well.
Absolutely.
And I would want the same for my wife. And I think too, I would question my spiritual walk with God. And the reason why I say that, because if I have this degrading idea about who women are, and it causes me to disrespect them, if I have that idea, then if I see them differently as if they're children of God, that makes a difference.
Absolutely.
Oh man, it's a child of God. I can't do that. And that's part of how slavery, and I'm not trying to, this is another topic, but I'm not trying to go there, but that's how you're able to mistreat people, because you can degrade them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So if I can degrade you, then I can mistreat you or disrespect you.
That's huge.
So a rich person can degrade it. Oh, look at him. Holy clothes. Look at me. I got it. So now I can treat them differently.
Right.
So it's classism, it's racism, it's all of that, and how you treat one another as well.
I want to take the conversation in a slightly different direction.
Let's go.
When we talk about our calling, right? Everybody's not called to ministry, and that's okay, right? Being a light for Christ, yes, everybody that has accepted Christianity should understand, wherever you are, whatever you're calling, you being a light for Christ. That's basic, right?
Right.
In your life, I want you to kind of, in a sense, if it's possible, detach pastoring and just speak from a perspective of your calling and purpose, right?
Oh.
How has being married enhanced or helped you fulfill your calling and purpose?
Oh, and we just took a test for our team called the Clifton Assessment Test. And one of the things that it's about an assessment, so it looks at your giftedness and your talents and how you can use them, for ministry or whatever your profession may be. And so for me, my wife, and I'm detaching, like you said, from the biblical, my wife and my marriage has helped me in a good sense because it keeps me grounded, And my wife is, as a matter of fact, she said something. What were we talking about this morning? She said, yes. I asked her about that test. I said, oh, did you take the test? And she said, yeah, we took it a while back. Blah, blah, blah. I said, yeah, I just finished it. And one of my coworkers said that they were surprised that harmony wasn't my highest. And she said, I'm not. Grounding, okay? Grounding. And now here's my coworker and here's my wife. So she have a better perspective because I'm only going to hang out with them for a certain amount of time. Right. I live and sleep with this woman, right? I live and sleep with her, right? And so she came, I said, I'm not surprised. And so and that grounding helps you spiritually. I'm sorry, I'm going back to that. But it kind of helps you holistically. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. And so when it does that, it makes you a better person.
Mm.
And I'm telling you, and the more you go back to this whole marriage concept, the more you are okay with who you are,
Yeah.
the more you okay. Well, hey, that's who I am. Maybe you're right, honey. Maybe I'm not in harmony with everybody. But I figured since I'm the middle child, I'm trying to keep harmony between my two brothers, and that literally happened. But she said, "No, you're not." I said, okay, well, maybe I'm not. And so I had to learn, man, to receive those. Oftentimes we dispute them or try to deny them.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, no, that's who you are. And what she was really saying was what I actually said to you. I will hang out with you and spend time with you, but when it comes time for me to throw up the deuces, I will throw them up. I'm not going to be exhausted from hanging out with you.
Right.
I'm like, I'm out, man. I'm done. And so, but that's what she was kind of talking about.
Yeah.
And so, but because she was related to me and how I operate within her family.
Man.
Yeah, man. So, yeah.
This is huge, Pastor Horton. This is huge.
Yeah.
Because the reason why I'm doing this podcast is because I'm big on legacy, right?
Yeah.
I want to see Jesus come.
You
put that
and me both.
I want to be alive.
Like now. Let me look out. Go ahead.
Right. I want to see Jesus come. But the reality is, so did the people in 1800s.
Yeah.
They were probably more on fire than we are.
Yeah.
They did not see Jesus come.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be so self-deluded thinking like, oh, this is going to be the generation that's going to see Jesus come. It may or may not be.
Yeah.
And so I want to leave a legacy so that if God sees fit for me to go to rest before he comes back, that some young person coming up looking for direction.
What Samuel said.
Yes. I remember just the platform.
Yeah, I remember that podcast.
I remember that episode.
Yeah.
They don't even have to remember my name. They don't have to remember your name.
Yeah.
But something can help guide them in the right path and direction. So some young person that's so big on their purpose. I'm thinking about a young man particularly. So big on his purpose, so big on his calling, his legacy. And somehow he's thinking he can do it without a wife. Somehow he's thinking he could do it without a woman. And I'm not saying that, because Paul was never married. Jesus was never married. Yeah. But I want to call them the exception in a large sense.
Yeah.
What you're telling me, what I'm hearing from you, is that having a wife, a happy wife, happy life, right, is going to enhance and greatly increase my chances of fulfilling my purpose. And walking in my calling.
Oh, yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Because today society is like, go chase the bag.
Yeah.
Go get your money up.
Yeah.
And you don't really need it. As a matter of fact, women are a drain on your resources.
Yeah.
And so now men are kind of looking at women with the side eye like, oh, I got to be careful. I don't want to, you know what I mean? Let me get my money right. Let me get my, and it's like.
Yeah, man, I just think that now once again, I want to put it in perspective.
Yeah.
You said it earlier, not everybody, like you said, not everybody's called, not everybody's also called not to be married. I mean, to marriage. Not everybody's called to marriage.
Yeah.
For me, it was for me. I don't know. You wouldn't probably be sitting with me if it wasn't for my wife.
Wow.
You probably wouldn't have been interested in me sitting and talking to you if it wasn't for my wife. Yeah, man. And now, once again, that's me.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what it'd be like for somebody else I don't know what it's like because I've been married for 33. I will say this, though.
Yeah.
I will say this. I told you I have two brothers. One has been divorced twice and he's on his third marriage. One is divorced and he hadn't remarried.
Wow.
And I didn't know this, man.
Yeah.
Now that you mentioned this, I didn't know this. But one of them told me, he said, man, I always wanted what you have or have, because it's not past tense.
Yeah.
And I said, what do you mean? He said, I always wanted what you have, which is a long marriage. I said, wow, I didn't know they were watching me on that level like that.
Right.
So what they're speaking to is, man, okay, let's go back biblical. So I'm sorry, I got to go back there.
Hey, let's go back.
Yeah. So when God was creating, he came, this is good, this is good, this is good, this is good. Then he even created man and said, this is good. No, I'm sorry, he didn't say that yet. He said, this is not good after he created man. And what was not good was being alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's this myth that you may be selling that you don't need to be with someone. But in all actuality, your DNA is yearning for someone.
Wow.
Even though you may not want it or like it or saying you can get by.
Yeah.
And it's that community we want to have. Even if it's a marital community. There's only two in the community. That's still a community.
Right.
But it's marital. And we want that. God has designed us to even want it.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes we fight against it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's the case for this person, but I tell you, life becomes more enjoying or joyful or pleasant when we are in community. When I'm in a relationship, in a healthy relationship, my life is more enjoyable.
Yeah.
But when I'm not, it's rough, man. It's rough. I can't imagine living my life without my wife. And I'm not one of those, well, she dies, I'll never live again, blah, 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 blah. I'm not there. That's not me. I'm more at seeing the value of having her. That's where I'm at. So yeah, man, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that helped your friend at all, but I would encourage them, make sure that God is telling you no. And I love how you said people chasing that bag.
Right.
And I'm going, for what? Because and see, that's another thing.
Yeah.
See, we chase these inanimated objects and things of that nature in life, that things that's gonna burn up when Jesus comes.
Yeah.
It's not gonna really matter. Why not chase a relationship that's healthy, what God will have for you, and be involved in that?
Yeah.
What if you spend all your energy and time in that, trying to find that mate for you that God wants?
Right.
He looked at man, and after he just finished, sometimes that stuff happens when it's wear and tear. Then you're like, oh man, it ain't good. No, you can do away with it. He just finished doing dude and going, man, something ain't right.
Yes.
He said, something's not right.
Yeah.
Wait, the animals have this, and this is how the ecosystem have
dawned
itself.
on him.
And then he said, man, he ain't got. Oh, I got to give him somebody. And I think that that's the myth that Satan sells us on. That I don't need it. You do. He does. We all do. Granted, once again, some people may not be cut out for it.
Right.
But I think until you assess that and understand that that's what it is, then yes. To me, that's when I'll.
Yeah. Man, that's big. Matter of fact, at the end of this podcast, I want to have a special prayer.
Yeah.
For young men and young women who are either seeking and desiring that God would guide them.
Yeah, man. Please,
because that's going to lead us into our last segment, which is fatherhood, right? I'm not there yet, but what's it like being a father today?
Man, I tell you, like I said, I didn't have good examples. My dad, and I love him. And here's the irony: I don't have that bitterness.
Yeah,
my dad was never for me. I hate him. You know, I never come to that. My mom beat me too much, and she never hugged or said she loved me until I was in junior high school. I hate her. I've never felt that way toward my parents.
Yeah,
I love them to this day, and do anything for them, if they were alive to this day.
Yeah.
But I didn't have good examples, and it's to say they did their best.
Yeah.
My parents married young, real young.
Yeah.
They married real young, and so, come on, man. And then they had my brother. True story. So one of the things that middle children, especially in my same gender, and just in the number is 3. Because 4 throws it off.
Right.
If it's 5, definitely throws out. But the 3, same gender. If it's 3 in different genders, but same gender.
Yeah.
We have this sort of not inferiority complex, but not as secure with who we are. Because we're not being looked up on. We don't get the praises because we overlooked because they are the youngest, the baby, and this. So,
right.
So this made me feel good. My brother and I was talking after my dad passed away. I think it was last year before last, and it was about 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago. So anyway, we're talking, and we on the phone, and he said, "Man, I got Mama's Bible, I went through it, and you know how in the Bible they have those monumental days and stuff like that, events that take place. And so it had my brother was born in July.
Okay.
And it had his birth, but my parents didn't marry until September.
Oh, wow.
So that's him. And if you ever want to talk, bring me back when you want to talk about forgiveness. If you want to talk about
absolutely.
And so so my youngest brother, to this day, my mom took this to her grave.
Oh, wow.
We don't know if he and I have the same bio dad.
Okay.
We know now. We believe 99.9%.
Yeah.
But because she didn't tell us, it takes away that 0.1%. But anyway, we'll come back on that one.
Yeah.
So I said, well, you were born out of wedlock.
Oh.
And I said, and my youngest brother, he was born from out of an affair because my mom was married to my dad at this time.
Okay.
So one of y'all is I don't know. I said one of y'all is a bastard child and one of y'all is an illegitimate child. And I said, but I'm the only one.
Man.
The only one. My parents were married, and it's clear that both of them are my parents.
Right.
So we laugh about it. But that kind of gave me like, yes, I got one.
Yeah.
But back to parenting, man.
Yeah.
No, man. I was just telling someone this just yesterday. I said, I love the fact that I was able to take what my dad didn't do. Now, this is actually Monday because we mentored some students.
Yeah.
I was actually take what he didn't do and learn from that.
Yeah.
So an example would be my dad, two things, one for my mom and one for my dad, parenting. My dad was one of those dads, if he would embarrass you, make you feel bad about yourself.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he'd make you talk to you. He'll talk down to you a lot, and so he assumed that you know everything, even as a child. He would say like, you'd be working with him, and you may say something like, "Hey, boy, hand me that screwdriver over there," and you hand him a Phillips, and he was looking for a flathead.
Yeah.
Well, you don't know what a Phillips screwdriver is, so now he's yelling at me and making me feel like, but you didn't have. But okay, all right, Dad, here it is. This is it.
Wow.
And so he did that even like a couple of years. When he was visiting with us before he passed away, about 3 years before he passed away, he actually did that to me.
Wow.
And trauma, and it triggered, and I went back to that. I was like, man, he's still doing that,
man. Yeah.
And so, but I made it a point that when my son, no, I would never talk to him like that.
Wow.
So we're working on a car, same example, working on his car actually.
Yeah.
And he said, and I said, hey man, hand me some wire cutters, and he knew what a toolbox and everything was, so he went to it, and he said, Dad, you want these ones right here? And I didn't see them. They're the ones where I said, okay, well, let's bring them. Let's see what they are. But he didn't bring the actual ones. He bought the wire splitters, like you can just cut the plastic off, but it wasn't a stripper. That's what it was. But he didn't bring the cutter. I wanted the one I can, because we had to cut some wire.
Yeah.
But we were able to work in it. But now unless he watches this, he didn't know that triggered me to go. I could have easily said that to him, but I was intentional not to do that. And he was like that. Even when he was young, he would ask some of these kind of off the wall questions. I'm like, what? But he never knew that they were off the wall, or they were kind of like dumb questions. I never said that. And all what he was trying to say was, hey, Dad, I just want to spend some time with you.
Wow.
That's all he was saying. And that's all I was saying to my dad. Dad, I'm just trying to hang with you, man. And so that's what I learned.
Yeah.
Now that's from my dad. From my mom was zero communication. Zero. I mean zero. But that's the family she come from.
Yeah.
So they didn't talk, especially talk hard stuff. And so we made it a point that we would be open to our children and be very communicative to them. And so to this day, I'm proud that the people they're dating always speaks about how well they communicate. Once again, so yes, we come from these broken homes. We come from these dysfunctional homes.
Yeah.
We come from this traumatic home and situations. But at the end of the day, man, with Christ, all that stuff could turn around.
Right. Yes.
It really can.
Yes.
I could have easily treated my son the same way. But even as a child, I respect my son. And that's what it boils down to. I didn't see him as this little boy. And I didn't treat him like that. But I always saw him differently.
Yeah.
And my daughter's the same way. I treat her like a lady.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and have great respect for them. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, man.
How did having children enhance your walk with God? Because we know that Enoch, you know, he walked with God, right?
Yeah.
And when he had his child, it kind of like opened up his eyes.
Yeah.
And took his walk with God to another level.
To the point where he didn't die. He just went straight up to
What
heaven.
was your Enoch factor when you had your children?
Actually, to be honest with you, man, I'm just gonna be candid. I've never had that moment. To be honest with you, I just knew Okay, let me go back. I had a moment where it was a sort of like that, and I knew my role. I really knew. I apologize. Let me stand correct. I do have that. I did have that, but it was later on. It was later on in there.
Yeah.
Like, so I didn't tell you this. So I'm a retired military too. When you was asking me all my sort of credentials and stuff.
Yeah.
So we moved from California. We came here because my wife started teaching at School of Nursing. Now, I didn't come with them at first. So I stayed back, kind of like finalized some stuff. And plus, I was on what we call the MPA tour for the military. I was reservist, but I was on active duty orders with the military. And so while I'm there, I couldn't come. So I kind of had to finish that up. And then I was going to come eventually. So while I was doing that, they were here. And then finally, the MPA tour active duty orders ran out. So I completed it. So now I can come home.
Okay.
Come here. So I moved here. And at this time, I didn't get picked up. So I didn't have a job or anything. So I came without a job. And so my son was into basketball when we were back in California. He was a good. You know, your granny, well, you're a dad. You're gonna say that, but you know, some things you have to take serious what parents say about their kids.
Yeah.
They know for sure. He was a good passer. He's a good point guard. Shooting wise, did you ever play my son?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, shooting wise, he had to work on that, but he could see stuff. He was like that Magic Johnson at like 10. He was good at it, and we were like, man, how did he see that? You know, but he would get it to it. So
yeah.
But when he got here, and he started there, so when he got here, it's more of a cliquish type thing. Now, he didn't have the cachet or the community that he knew that they can kind of support him in. So he didn't really get picked up. I mean, he did. He got picked up, but they didn't give him much playing time, so he can develop his skills and stuff like that. Yeah. And then his sophomore year, because he played his junior high 9th and 10th grade. No, his 8th and 9th grade. Yeah. His 10th grade year. Either, I'm not sure. It is either his sophomore year or his junior year. He got cut. I won't say now it's his junior year. It was. He got cut from varsity. I don't even think they picked him up for junior varsity either.
Wow.
So he just literally got cut. And I remember being at home at this time. And while I was at home, once again, I'm without a job. And I was just chilling, and he came home. And the first person he came to and kind of expressed was to me. And he started crying.
Oh, wow.
Because he would really want to make the team. And it was then the Enoch aha or whatever moment. It was then I realized, man, I see why I'm home. So that I can be available.
Wow.
That's what parenting is about.
Yeah.
You can get all of these other little theories about what parenting is about. And that's good. And I'm not saying they're not bad theories. But if you had to pick something to master in or do well in and for your child is availability. Be available. Be there. Wow. And you don't have to be there on a 24-hour continuum.
Right.
You don't have to do that. Just be there in the moments they need you. And that's what parenting has taught me. Being there. Wow. Being available for your children. Yeah. And it's hard. Like you said, everybody's always out there trying to make that bag. You know, everybody's out there trying to make that money, have that bag. And so what happens is the kids go without. Parents ain't there. And I was so thankful because all I had to do, and I didn't think about it, God didn't even give me this idea. And I'm thankful to this day that he didn't give it to me. Because if he had, I would have easily taken advantage of that idea, which was, man, the MPA tours. They're all over the place. Just sign. You're reservists. Just sign up for another MPA tour. You can be somewhere else. You can be back in California. You can be in New York or wherever a base is that you can, or up north somewhere.
Yeah.
And I could have, but I didn't. I said no. And God, if He had given me the idea, I would have. But I didn't have. I didn't have the idea because I would have been gone. But that taught me availability, being there for your children.
And I don't know. And I don't know if you and your son have had this conversation, but that might have been a critical moment for your son at that moment.
No, ain't no might. It was.
Wow.
No, it was. It was the critical moment. It was the moment where, hey, I'm glad you're here. And I'm glad that I was there.
Yeah.
Because he didn't need his mom.
Right.
He didn't need that community to what's the word? Empathize. Not empathize, but to sob and pity him. Right. He needed his dad. And like I say, he was fine till he came home. And as soon as he came home, he just cried. And I just held him and we cried together. I don't know, did I cry? Anyway, maybe. As I've gotten older, I'm a crier now.
Yeah.
So yeah. So and then we held each other and we talked about it, and he was done, and he went on by his business. But he made the team the following year as a senior, and they won the Andrews tournament. So he's a champion. So he won.
Yeah,
man. Because he
That's
stuck
amazing.
to it. He stuck to it.
Yes. That's huge because God is there.
Yeah.
God is available.
Yeah.
And you were able to express that to your son.
Yeah.
Man, that's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, man.
As we start to land this plane, I want to ask just a couple more questions.
Yeah.
And this one is on the line of children and family. What are you most proud of when you look at the lives of your children? What you and your wife have done and are doing, because you never stop being a parent. Yeah. What are you most proud of?
I'm proud of the fact that I was able to once again be available.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, I'm proud that we was able to pour into them. And thirdly, I'm thankful glad the fact my wife and I was able to exemplify the best that we could do.
Right.
Of what a good marriage looked like. Now, granted, have we always done it? No, because we have a couple of episodes in our family that my kids say it was kind of traumatic for them when their mom and I disagreed while we was traveling. Yeah, and we talk about it and laugh about it to this day. But for the most part, our best. We did our best, man, and thankful for the fact the way God ordered our family. My wife is a nurse, so she was able to work PRN so she could be at home. Yeah. So she worked those 2 days, boom, she's at home. And then, I'm a pastor, so I get to set my own schedule. So when she went to work, I like, hey, family, I'm at home with my fam for a couple of days. I can pick back up with y'all after this is over. And so my wife go back or when she come home. So that happened, I'm like, well, cool. So the Lord just really ordered that. So we were all. If I wasn't there, she was there. If she wasn't there, I was there. We were always there. And I've always made it a point. I always tell churches, God, family, and then y'all. In that order. I got to make sure me and God are connected.
That's right.
And I'm gonna make sure my family is taken care of.
Man, that's big.
Yeah, man. And
because I feel like pastors have this bad rap.
They do.
Growing up, like my dad wasn't a pastor, but I had friends who were PKs.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
And somehow around the world, they have this reputation. It's not like a North America thing.
They're not there.
This is everywhere.
They're not there.
Pastors' kids are just off the wall.
True story, man. I was working with a pastor here at Southern. He was a very, very, very well-known and prominent pastor in the Adventist faith. Yeah. So we working with him, hanging out with him, doing it was the evangelist effort. And we sitting there talking. And sitting at the meeting, enjoying ourselves, having a good time, helping him out as well. And so he gets up and I never forget this. Yeah. He said how important ministry was to him. It was so important that when his wife had her first child, he said he wasn't even there. And he told everybody as if that was a thing to be proudful about. And even as a undergrad in theology, I'm going, I don't know if that's something you need to share with everybody. I mean, it's cool to share it, but not on a public setting that this is taking place. It just told me, man, you're not available for your family, man. Wow. And it's funny, man, because it's full circle because I've I've had encounters with his son. Yeah. To this day, have had encounters with his son.
Wow.
Yeah, he stood up and tell everybody I wasn't there with my wife. That's how serious I am about the ministry, and I knew it. And my wife, she's this, she's a good workaholic. So she's gonna do her best and work. She get that from her dad.
That's sad.
But I didn't get that from my parents. Hey man, I didn't get that workaholic syndrome. I don't have it.
Yeah.
I do my best to keep things in perspective.
Right.
Nah,
right.
I'm good. Nah, I don't. I had a member member call me at. I tell the story. The member called me about another member because she had Alzheimer's, and they said they can't find her.
Uh-oh.
So they called like 9:00, and then they said, "Pastor, we'll keep you posted." We're like, "Cool." Well, 10:00 they ain't calling me. I'm going to bed. So 10:30 I'm in the bed. I'm getting ready to fall asleep. 11:00 I get a call. "Pastor, we still hadn't found her." I said, "All right, well, now let me see if I can do to get up."
Yeah.
And by the time they called me back the third time, they said, "We found her." I said, "Okay." And I just went straight to bed. So I'm just saying I didn't jump the first time. And let me go help y'all find her. I'm out there. No, man. Yeah, man, I got to take care of some stuff. Now, by that time, it's 11:30, my family sleep. So I'm available now. But anytime I'm trying to put my kids to bed and get them ready for tomorrow.
Yeah, you had your priorities straight.
I mean, I thank God for that.
You and God.
Yeah, man, I think.
You and your family.
Yeah.
And then y'all.
Yeah, and literally, excuse my English, then y'all. Yeah.
Some folks
not you all, but
right.
Then y'all.
Then y'all.
Yeah.
Because so many have it backwards.
Yeah. Oh no, by far, man. And I've heard so many pastors, kids' stories like what you kind of share. I mean, they just out of the church, man. And I thank God, man. My kids active. My daughter is a pastor. She just spoke at Murs last Sabbath.
Wow.
She's getting ready to head up north, man. She got her post.
Praise God.
Call in the military.
Yeah.
Now that doesn't say that she's righteous,
right?
But she's still in the church, and it's not so much that she's still in church; she's still in God.
Yeah,
And so a lot of people ain't into God, man. Yeah, man. And so they left God and church, PKs, and some of them are now on some. I knew this one dude. He does a podcast and he talks against the church. Yeah,
he had that traumatic of an experience.
Yes. That much of a traumatic experience that he's now speaking against the Adventist church. I don't know the guy. Don't give me. I only knew about it because my daughter was watching him. Yeah, man. And it's not just him.
Right.
It's not just him.
Right.
It's others who are like that.
In any faith.
Yeah.
In any faith it can happen.
Yeah.
But you made it.
But Lord, by the grace of God.
By the grace of God, we thank God for that. As we now,
and I'm still making it. So I ain't made it until I get to the kingdom.
That's
as far as I'm concerned.
That's
But I get you.
Yes. Regardless of one's calling, you spoke in this episode about commitment in every line. It started with your mother, right, and she passed on commitment to you. Yeah. We saw commitment through high school. We saw commitment through college when things were not really looking too good.
Yeah.
You said, I'm going to stick it out in ministry. Yeah. Right? We see commitment with parenting. Yeah. Right? And now let's come back to, because whether somebody gets married or not, you got to at least, right, once you've given your life to God, you got to find some way to serve him.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Not everybody's going to choose, like you said earlier, to get married or have kids. And that's okay. Yeah. I don't want to demonize, because that's what some people feel demonized. They get to a certain age and they're not married, and everybody's like, when you gonna get married? Yeah. It's like, well, like you said, that's not for everybody.
Not for everybody.
Right? So I don't want to demonize that. But if you don't get to the 3 and 4, decisions 3 and 4, 1 and 2, you got to. Yeah. You got to choose God.
Yeah.
Or, hopefully you choose God, right? And once you choose him, how are you going to serve him? Yeah. My question to you is, how did you avoid burnout? Because that's a real thing.
Man, and very real.
Yeah.
I'm a gamer. See, I came up with Atari. And,
oh, wow.
Yeah, I came up in that era.
That's before Nintendo.
Exactly. I came up with the little joystick, and you move it around. The little red button was on the top of
it.
I came up with that. Or it was even on the ground of the, not the ground, but the
controller.
Yeah, the controller, the base of the controller. And so, yeah, man. And so, I was one going to the malls and playing. So I'm a gamer.
Yeah.
I used to feel. Now I play those old school games like NBA.
Right.
Man.
Yeah.
I ain't into all those shooting games. I'm not saying that. I'm just not into those.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm into Madden, sports games. That's basically.
Absolutely.
So, well, shooting is a sport. Yeah, but not with all the glory. But anyway, I'm just not into those. But for me, go back. And we talk about this in therapy. It's called self-care. Part of why I keep this sort of perspective about ministry is my ability to self-care. And so my self-care could sometimes mean playing ball.
Yeah.
Staying committed to just out there playing ball.
Pastor Horton can ball now.
Yeah, that's what I do.
I'm a witness.
You're right.
I'm a witness.
You're right. But anyway, out there playing ball. And then I'm a gamer. I like to, that's my getaway.
Man.
Go play me a couple games of NBA and baseball, and so it's just that kind of stuff. So, and being intentional about it. You got to be intentional about it. It works this way. Have a sense of self-awareness.
Yeah. And
then once you see where you are, if there's a need to self-care, then you self-care.
Absolutely.
So if you're like, man, and there are days, like I always tell people, one of my most anxious time of the week is before Sabbath. Especially if I'm preaching. Oh man, I gotta get the sermon. And man, I'm like, we're like lit for like Wednesday on. You hear anxiety, and don't let right before you go up to speak. Now it's boiling high.
Wow.
And so after Saturday's almost yeah, man, it's just exhausted, dude. And so that's my time. Like I try not to schedule meetings on Sundays because that's my downtime. That's my time.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I do have some, but for the most part, I just don't. I try to be intentional. So it's just really about having a sense of self reflection, see where you are, self awareness, same thing, but yet also having the ability once you analyze and figure out, let me self care.
Man, that's good. That's good, Pastor. I want to thank you.
Oh no, thank you, dude,
for sharing your wisdom.
Oh no, anytime.
Shining your light. It's helping me as a young man know what steps to take, know which path to take. Yeah. Because, in life, there's always going to be two examples, what you want to be and what you don't want to be.
That's true.
And from the legacy that you've left, your living legacy, I want to continue in ministry.
Oh, yeah, man.
I want to avoid burnout.
Yeah, man.
I do desire marriage.
Yeah.
Not a happy marriage.
A joyful marriage.
A joyful marriage.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's what you strive for.
That's right. A joyful marriage. Yeah. And so, is it all right if you say a prayer for the young person who's struggling with their decision to serve Christ?
Yeah.
For the young person who's struggling to figure out they've chosen Christ, they just don't know what to do yet.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do.
Yeah.
For the young person who's looking for their spouse.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And then perhaps even for those married folks that are deciding children, no children, or just struggling with their family. Yeah. If you close us out with prayer.
Yeah. We'll do. Yeah.
All right.
Father God, once again, we thank you for this moment and opportunity that you've given to us to just kind of share wisdom, shed light on a lot of things in terms of life. But at the end of the day, for all of us, at every approach to life, it has to be you. You are what make life what it is, not the world, not others, not people in our community. It's actually you. You make the life that we have for us to live, you make it possible. So, Lord, I lift up our young audience who are adulting and in that world of trying to figure things out. I get it. I understand how it's uncertain and how anxious it could be right now for them. But I'm so convinced that the word of peace is real. The Bible says you give peace. Right. So I pray that you would give peace to them. Let them know that you have their past, their present, and their future in your hand. You've always had it. And so I pray and ask that you would bless them as they consider ministry, consider their walk with you, consider parenting, consider marriage. Pray and ask that you would help us all to see the importance of what marriage is really all about, and how we can get away from the world's view and apply it from a godly viewpoint to help us all to see that when we do find marriage, it is a joy. What has happened in the past is we've gotten into bad marriages, and we've done that because we have not asked you, I believe. But I pray for those who are contemplating it, may they seek you, ask you first, and as a result of that, you will, I believe, lead and guide and direct their path. Give them the ability to say no to the relationship if that's what they need to say, and then also give them the ability to say yes as well. Increase our level of grit in life, increase our level of commitment in life, and may we commit first of all to you so that we can be able to commit to life in general.
Yes.
Thank you for Samuel's podcast. I lift it up in a very special way, and I ask that you would just bless him, bless the audience who are listening, and continue to give him ideas and wisdom on how he can represent you well, which he's doing already. So bless, Father, and bless for us that as we continue to look forward for this future, life or just the future itself, in terms of you coming the second time, prepare us. Help us be ready to go home when you come the second time. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Yes.
Amen. Praise God. Praise God. Listen, now, before you click off this video, listen, I need you to subscribe.
Yes.
Go ahead and hit that like button. Leave a comment as well. And of course, as always, I want you to keep going, keep discovering, keep accomplishing what God has for you. Thank you for rocking with us all the way to the very end of the episode. Stay tuned. We got much more coming for you here tonight on the next drop off. Pastor Reginald. I was paying attention. Pastor Reginald.
Yeah.
Horton.
Yes. Got you.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you, man. Thanks for having me. Yeah. Appreciate you.
All right, now. We'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.